and settle down so that we can have a smooth beginning to today's grand event. I'll request everybody to please remain seated. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll request everybody to please kindly take their seats and settle down as we're all set to begin in the next 2 minutes. And a humble request to one and all, if you can please kindly occupy the chairs over here at the front first so that our esteemed guests who are joining us later can seamlessly take the seats at the back. I'll request everybody to please kindly occupy the seats over here at the front first. A humble request to one and all to please kindly occupy the seats over here at the front first so that our esteemed speakers who are joining us later can take the seats at the back. Make it a little louder, please, if that's the case. Do you want the sound to be louder or me to be louder? Audio check, 1, 2, 3, mic testing, check, check, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All of you at the back, can you all please hear me loud and clear? Can you all hear me loud and clear? Each and every word is understandable? Superb. Okay, nice. I'll request everybody to please kindly take their seats as we are waiting for all of you to take your seats and settle down. We're all set to get going in the next 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us over here. Can I please request our esteemed audience at the back to take their seats kindly so that we can have a seamless beginning. And a humble request to one and all, if I can please request all of you to keep your mobile phones in silent mode so that none of our speakers are distracted eventually. There's a bit of an echo that's happening. If you can kindly fix that with the sound. So we don't want that distraction. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me loud and clear? I just want to do like a complete sound check so that there's absolutely no hassle at the end. All of you at the back, loud and clear. Everybody, loud and clear. Thank you so much. I hope your mobile phones are in silent mode. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's my absolute honor and privilege to welcome all of you. As you all can see, the Realty Shift 2025 powered by AI. Can I have a big round of applause for this very, very interesting event? Thank you so much. My name is Shubhajit Ghosh. I'm an anchor, MC, and YouTube talk show host. And it's my humble honor and privilege to welcome all of you over here in this very, very special evening. We have gathered over here for a very, very special purpose. And I swear when I say that this is going to be very, very engaging for all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, like I mentioned, today we have gathered here to create a knowledge forum that goes beyond analyzing trends or reacting to disruptions. This is a space designed for honest exchange, shared learning, and collective inspiration. A place where we can understand not just what is changing, but why it matters for the road ahead. Real estate, ladies and gentlemen, like every major industry today, is also undergoing a profound shift powered by AI, systems that can reason, act, and drive outcomes with far greater autonomy. As we all know, AI is no longer confined to just isolated tasks. It's much beyond than that. It is enhancing the entire real estate life cycle from planning and design to marketing, pre-sales, sales, and I can keep adding and adding, to post-sales engagement and facility management as well. It's helping teams move faster, bridge gaps, personalize customer journeys, and make decisions with sharper clarity. And of course, in such an environment, ladies and gentlemen, adapting to these shifts requires more than just an individual effort. It calls for transparent dialogue and a willingness to learn from one another's experiences. This is exactly why this forum exists, to pause and reflect on these changes that are happening in the industry. And of course, we are going to be having interesting conversations. We are going to be engaging in interesting discussions, deliberating on topics which will eventually decide the future of tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, above all, it is a very, very special invitation to think collectively, challenge assumptions, and most importantly, walk away with clarity that none of us could have arrived over here alone. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a big round of applause for yourselves, please, for making it over here, because you all are the trendsetters and the future stalwarts of the real estate fraternity. Thank you so much for being with us over here. It's my absolute honor and privilege. What I'm going to do right now is we are going to be having the special welcome note right now. To do the welcome note on stage, I'm going to be calling up on stage Mr. Sid Mitra, COO, Cirrus.ai. Can I have a big round of applause for Mr. Sid Mitra?
Check. Okay. Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to all our distinguished guests. I can see a lot of known faces, few unknown faces, but overall, very excited to see all our guests, partners, and industry leaders all under one roof. It's a privilege to open the Realty Shift 2025, which we have conceptualized as a pure knowledge forum dedicated to understanding how our industry is being reshaped by artificial superintelligence, agentic automation, and possibly new forms of autonomous customer engagement. We know that real estate today is at a clear inflection point. Until recently, real estate market research was also sort of one-dimensional. Production efficiency, design efficiency, cash flow management were sort of cumbersome, time-taking. Marketing cycles were slow. It still is. Sales workflows were fragmented, and teams were dependent on disconnected tools. There still are, as I speak. and customer journey is often broke between different channels. Yet stakeholders expected the opposite: faster responses, personalized interactions, accurate information to be delivered instantly was their expectation. So this is the gap where AI comes in to fill up and transform the whole real estate landscape. We are moving from systems that merely store information to intelligent autonomous nodes which interpret, decides, and act intelligently. With generative pre-trained transformer models, or GPTs, teams can now produce better market research for effective investment decisions, audit production designs leading to accurate BOQs, better FSIs, better design leading to better supply chain, with better supply chain, better cash flow, generate personalized content for more efficient campaigns for the sales and marketing piece of it, use AI to embellish marketing assets in minutes, create a content vault out of nowhere, and overall engage customers far better and far faster than ever. Multimodal AI helps to interpret voice, visuals, documents, behavior, and sentiments to create a genuinely complete picture. And agentic AI takes this shift further, autonomously managing production and cash flow control, supply chain, lead management, analyzing meetings, triggering journeys, and executing workflows end to end. For an industry where operations stretch across all of these different nuances, this is profound, to say the least. Along with the bells and whistles comes the much talked about fear factor in AI also. Investors are talking about the hype versus the reality in AI. We are seeing close to, almost 40 to 50% of over-investment hype in emerging markets and also in very, very mature markets when it comes to AI investments. We'll talk about this in some of the panel discussions that we will have. But this aspect that AI is doomed to fail at some point or the other, or it's a huge bubble to burst, is also making the rounds. Throughout today's sessions, or rather today's evening sessions, industry leaders and tech titans, like the likes of you all, will share how AI and agentic workflows are already elevating research, production, schedule efficiency, sales velocity, and all of that I've been talking about. The ideas and insights you hear are not theoretical, or at least we will try not to be theoretical. They represent practical shifts which you can apply directly as a takeaway within your own organizations, ultimately unlocking higher impact, greater efficiency, and more predictable growth. This is hence more than just a conference. It's an opportunity to rethink how we operate in a world where intelligent autonomous systems will increasingly partner with us, not just to make decisions, but to execute them autonomously. Embrace the reality shift as your knowledge forum where technology meets real estate and beyond. We are not going to talk directly about Cirrus.ai, and it is a very intentional call. So thank you all for joining us again. A hearty, warm welcome to this forum. Let us discuss, debate, and decide our future in real estate with the power of AI, which is now more contextual, less robotic, more autonomous, and more trustworthy. Thank you once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a bigger round of applause for Mr. Sid? I'll request you to please kindly remain over here on stage. I'll request Ms. Rumela Sinha from the Cirrus team to please kindly come up over here on stage and felicitate Mr. Sid. A big round of applause for this moment, if I may request, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I request both of you to be over there at the center so that our photographer can capture this moment with perfection? Thank you so much. A bit of clapping will certainly enhance the overall experience. Thank you so much. All of you are very, very kind. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that very, very special welcome note. Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun on a very, very special and prosperous note. It's now time to move forward to the chairman's message. This is going to be the honorable chairman's message for our esteemed audience. We're going to be playing a video message over here. This is a video message by Dr. Purnendu Chatterjee, who's the honorable chairman of TCG Group. May I please request the console to play the message for all of us over here?
Good evening. It's a privilege to be part of this Cirrus.ai roundtable. Today we stand at a remarkable inflection point, not just for real estate, but for how we imagine the future of work, intelligence, and human potential. AI is no longer a tool we use. It's becoming a partner that expands what's possible. For years, our biggest challenge wasn't data. It was the speed and clarity with which we could act on it. Now, with agentic AI, we can transform every signal into insight, every insight into action, and every action into progress. We are moving from static dashboards to living intelligence, from manual campaigns to stories that write themselves, from isolated teams to organizations that think, respond, and evolve with autonomy. This moment calls for courage to rethink how value is created, how decisions are made, and how organizations grow. The leaders in this room are not here to keep pace with change. You are here to shape it. Let us use this moment not only to adapt, but to imagine boldly. Not only to respond to the future, but to build it intentionally, intelligently, and together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That's our honorable chairman. Can I have a bigger round of applause for him, please? I'm sure he's going to be very, very happy seeing all of you appreciate his valuable message for all of us over here. Thank you so much. We will now be moving forward to the next session. This is going to be, I believe, a panel discussion. And this is going to be a panel discussion. First of all, I'll quickly request our hotel team to kindly set up the chairs on stage in the meantime. I'll request for 4 chairs on stage. Thank you. Yeah. And just a bit of an update and an announcement. We had a keynote planned over here by Mr. Kalyan Chakraborty, who's the CEO from MR India. Was supposed to join us virtually, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, he can't really join us, but hopefully we can figure out something later. So we'll be moving on to the first panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen. And just leave a little bit of space in the middle, please. Yeah. And I'll request for our videographer to check the frame if everything is fine. All of them are in the frame, sir? Huh? Yeah. Can we have the mics for them, please? We need the tables as well. And can we have the mics as well for our speakers? What I'm going to do is, in the meantime, I'm going to be introducing the topic for the panel discussion. This is going to be a conversation on from data to decisions, how agentic AI transforms real estate intelligence. I'll quickly repeat the topic for once again for everybody. This is going to be about from data to decisions, how agentic AI transforms real estate intelligence. I'll quickly request for the mics on stage for our speakers. Thank you. And once we are ready, I will be good to go in terms of announcing our speakers on stage. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. Is it fine? No? Huh? Yeah. Are we waiting for the table? Yeah. We're just quickly waiting for the table. We want to ensure every speaker of ours, they're absolutely comfortable. That's why we need the tables over
We
here.
cannot hear you.
Keynote and maybe push this for after 5 minutes.
We have the keynote?
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right. All right, all right. So I have just got an update right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'll quickly request the hotel staff to kindly clear the chairs from the stage as we are all set to be going ahead with the plan as it was earlier. We will be first having the keynote. Mr. Kalyan Chakrabarti, who's the Honorable CEO of MR India, he has joined us virtually. So I'll request the chairs to be certainly cleared from stage quickly so that we can move forward. We just had the welcome note a while back. I'll quickly request for the chairs to be removed. Thank you so much. Technology is a funny game at the end of the day. Sometimes there are glitches. You have to balance it out. I'm sure Mr. Kalyan was trying from his end earlier, but then it didn't work out. But we are very, very glad he's joining us over here. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to all of you a special keynote session by Mr. Kalyan Chakrabarti, who's the Honorable CEO of MR India. He's joining us virtually from Delhi. Can we have him on screen, please?
Yeah. Thank you. You can start.
Over to me.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And thank you, Siraj, for inviting me to this. And I apologize firstly before I start, because these kind of occasions don't happen frequently for people like me, and an opportunity which I am unable to leverage fully by not being physically present there. I was looking forward to be with everyone there to learn from everyone. Our CIO himself is personally there, I think, and it would have been nice to connect with professionals who are in this space and who are curious to understand about AI. I myself am taking baby steps and trying to learn what the power of AI could be. So deepest of the apologies to everyone, to Siraj, Parthada and others. Thank you very much. With that, if I may start, I hope I'm audible. Can I do a quick check? Can somebody confirm that I'm audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. So when the invitation from Siraj came, I was a little clueless, to be honest, as to what exactly one is expected to do in an AI seminar as a keynote speaker. The world has not seen much of AI still. It is still in its initial stages, depending on where you are, which industry, particularly our industry more so. Real estate has just about started getting touched by AI, in my view. There are, of course, lots and lots of entrepreneurial ventures, including Siraj, which have started trying to touch upon different aspects of the real estate industry, leveraging on all the various developments which are happening in the AI space, with various LLMs behind getting leveraged in order to make sure that the industry performs better, industry leverages it better, and converges with the other industries. I think there are other industries which are far ahead. But if I were to take a few steps back, it's one of my favorite books happens to be *Sapiens* by Yuval Noah Harari, and I've almost memorized some of the numbers or the eras that he talks about. We are talking about. Some of you have read Yuval Noah Harari. I don't know if there is a survey kind of thing where people can click and we can get to see a show of hands type of thing to know who would probably have read Yuval Noah Harari, *Sapiens*. So tough for me to see. So maybe the computer could tell me. Otherwise, we will just assume almost everybody has read, and I'll keep that part of it short. But it is important to recognize that we as human beings have been around for roughly around 2 million years on this earth. And earth has been around for almost 4 billion years. So if the earth has been around for a day, we have been around for a second. And within that, we've almost survived nearly all the time that we have spent on earth without having any cognition, without having any cognitive abilities, limited cognitive abilities, not much different from, for a absence of a better words, the animals, till around 30 to 70,000 years ago. We started getting smarter only about 30 to 70,000 years ago. Before that, we were not having a language, we didn't know how to read, we didn't know how to communicate, we didn't know how to write. We were a bunch of us hanging around in jungles and roaming around in to hunt and gather. That's when the revolution on the cognitive side practically started. So when I kind of recall that book, it kind of tells me this is all predestined and this is only going in one direction, which is to keep getting better, and this revolution is not going to be ending anytime soon. If we switch forward, it took us almost another 30 to 50,000 years before we got colonized, before we started settling down into settlements, which became agricultural colonies. We came together in order to, let's say, a paddy field got grown, so we are no more into hunting and gathering, but we were into farming. That started as late as 12,000 years ago. And that is considered as one of the early revolutions. Within cognitive revolution, how to farm, what to farm, how to eat, how to cook, all of those things started as late as 12,000 years ago. And I'm just trying to show the evolution just because I enjoy reading this kind of stuff and trying to link what is happening today with what has happened in the past, because it's ultimately history which creates a trajectory which lands us today in the present. Post that, if you were to jump a few years, obviously there was a large scale technological stagnation. Post agriculture, very little changes happened. Clothing probably came along in the last 5 to 7,000 years. Most of the developments or revolutions have happened on the governance side. Post that, invention of religion, invention of nation states, inventions of monarchies, all of that happened about 3 to 5,000 years ago. And some of those mythologies which we study kind of indicate that to us. But the real revolution, which we call more technology oriented as we see it today, probably started about 500 years ago. Most of you being engineers would probably know. Europeans started going all over the world in search of discovering other land, like Amerigo Vespucci or Vasco da Gama. All of that happened around the 15th century. And if you look at it, every century, there has been some revolution. So the man's quest for knowledge, which started in the 15th century, was more geographic, more race, more trading. And by the time it came to 16th century, you had Newton and Galileo. You of course all know what they did, astronomy and the Newton's laws of motion and all of that, which kind of set in force our understanding of the world around us. Newton also, of course, the gravitational studies and all of that were attributed to Newton. So that happened around the 16th, 17th century. 18th century, we saw industrial revolution. You had steam engines, you had wheels, and all of these getting discovered. 19th century, we saw how to fly a plane, antibiotics, all of those. Nuclear energy was invented practically, periodic table was invented practically. 19th century, I think even Albert Einstein came up, and the theory of relativity and what speeds light moves and all of that came up. And this century, I think we are fortunate, we of course have taken it to the next level. We are trying to replace intelligence itself. All this time, we were dependent on human intelligence to arrive wherever we could arrive. And suddenly now we are depending on other intelligence. These are of course early days, and hence many a times early days are not necessarily a predictor as to how all of this will end. But I think a safe assumption can be made going by what has been happening in the world. And I've been a keen observer of how AI has been evolving. I've been meeting lots of vendors in this space, lots of users in this space, lots of practitioners in this space, and I feel excited. And I wanted to summarize my thoughts as to what it means. I'll pause for a second to get a confirmation that everybody is out there and awake, and I have not put some of you to sleep. I think it's a confirmation that everybody has slept. I'll carry on nevertheless. So to me, I think the biggest power that this thing is unleashing, artificial intelligence is unleashing, is operating at a scale on things which are business critical, which are hitherto unimaginable. What is it that a business leader looks at, or a particular business house or industry looks at in order to get success? We are always looking at supply and demand on one side as an example. We are always looking at how to make a customer react to our products or services in a favorable manner, how to deliver our products or services in a profitable manner. Those are, of course, our core objectives. And by staying within the four walls of law and not doing anything illegal, of course, keeping full respect for governance. But the constraints that we have been largely facing while making decisions is data availability, many a times. Not always, but many times it is data availability. Many times it's a second level issue. Even if you have the data available, you do not know how to organize it, how to analyze it, how to interpret it, how to decide using it. And even if you have got all of this right, by the time the decision is ready to be taken, it is probably too late to take that decision. So do you decide on things, or the thing effectively decide your fate has been a problem. Many times speed is important. And in business, I kind of have this simple acronym I formed as to how AI impacts from a business perspective. I call it STARS. So speed, which is the most important element in business, is the first S, and there is a S at the end, so I'm coming to that. So bringing hyper speed, finishing in seconds, which could otherwise be taking days, whether it is data analytics as an example, or for that matter, any other thing that you look, drafting a letter, drafting a petition. Recently, we implemented a legal AI in our system. Farman is probably sitting there in the audience. You can check with him. We are right now going through a demo, or what you call it. We are effectively using for about a 30 days trial period, so to say, to check how it works. And the results are amazing. The power that it gives individuals, lawyers, to focus on more value adding things, to finish things faster. You want to file an appeal, upload your judgment coming from the lower court. Within minutes, you are coming up with a freshly minted draft appeal. You want to draft a fresh contract, give it some basic parameters, it will give you a first draft of a contract. These were earlier taking days, and there was a chance that we would go wrong, because constant learning and organizational learning was a difficult thing to pass on. So if I have a lawyer who has drafted a contract, how do I pass on the learning from one lawyer to the other? When that lawyer leaves, that knowledge was disappearing with that lawyer. So I think that legacy knowledge building is one huge positive we are seeing. And that is, to me, the first is speed. How fast we are able to get what we wanted to get, and in a hyper scale. It is not a 2-hour job becoming 30 minutes job. It's a 20 days job becoming probably a 2 seconds job or a 2 minutes job. That is power. This is a power, this is a nature of power which nobody has ever seen in the past. And I don't know, I will never be wanting to say this is probably the final frontier of technology. I'm sure there are hundreds of other things which are out there. There is a book I was reading called Future is Coming Fast at You by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. It talks about, and it's a 2023 book. So about 7 years ago, sorry, 23 book is about 3 years ago. And it talks about many technologies which are in the laboratories. So most of us are not aware of the lab technologies that are going on because they have not yet come to the market. They have not been commercialized. And when one reads it, and when I read it, I was amazed. I felt as if I'm a caveman living some 3,000 years ago in a cave. That's how fast technology is moving, and hence I will not be very surprised in next 5, 7, 10 years. There are more and more technologies which will inundate us. But let's limit ourselves to AI. That's what the current conference is all about, and we stick to that. The second thing which I get impressed by is the timeliness. One is timelines. My 20 days becoming 2 seconds or 2 minutes is about timelines getting crunched. It's also about timeliness. How just in time can I get some of my work done? How timely can I get my input? Like I said, sometimes the decision can be too late. By the time you collect the data, analyze the data, come with the interpretation and all of that stuff and decide, it may be too late. Your big dollars have gone through the window by that time. Timeliness is essential. How do I make sure that my decision support works extremely timely? I'm launching a product. I want my entire AI system with respect to sales or CRM to work in sync in such a manner that everything is arriving at the same time, fully synced. That's almost impossible in a normal world. But I think we are going to see that very soon. It's a matter of probably next few years for us to get there. I'm pausing in between because I do not know if I'm going too fast. So we talked about two, hyper speed, and second is hyper timelines. The other thing which excites me is hyper accuracy. As of now, I'm not too sure it is as accurate as I would love to, But my little experimentation with AI, I use it quite extensively. Microsoft Copilot, I use Gemini, of course, 3. I use Grok 4. I have a Adobe version of AI also. And I use all of them very, very extensively. And of course, what is that thing called? Proxy, what is that called? Sorry. Perplexity, I apologize.
Perplexity.
I use all of that. And what is fascinating, and if you keep flipping from one AI to the other, you can see the good, bad, and ugly of each of these AIs. Some are good with image generation, some are good with drafting, some are good with creating videos, some are good with creating images, some are very, very creative, some are dumb with respect to creativity, but very good on facts. So I kind of play around. And I'm just looking at a convergence. I think there will come a time where all these LLMs will end up being nearly normal, nearly similar, rather. They will all probably become commoditized. But that will give more power to us as a user. When they become commoditized, we as users become more powerful because all of them are able to do what I want to do. Technology ultimately is meant for us. We are supposed to be the masters and technology is supposed to be the slave, with due respect. Don't please attribute any motives behind that. I'm just basically saying we need to rule the world and technology is supposed to be our aid in order to rule the world better. So the hyper accuracy is what I was talking about, is essentially where you say, okay, I need everything accurate. I want a particular drug to be administered to a particular patient on the basis of particular diagnosis which has happened. So extremely customized. It's not the same Dolo 650 everybody takes. Probably for me, a Dolo 639 is important. And somebody else, it could be as accurate as that milligram difference can make. I was also reading a fascinating story in another AI book, which I felt makes a lot of sense. In the world, we know the periodic table has got about 140 elements, more or less, right? And 140 elements can have a potential permutations and combinations. I'm assuming most of you would appreciate that language. So if one were to do a permutation and combinations of these 140 approximate elements, then there could be a few billion compounds which can come. A few billion. And this is assuming you are mixing all of them in equal proportion. If you start changing the proportion, then you can have, let's say, a particular element, let's say aluminum getting combined with copper in different proportions, starting from 0.01 right up to 99.99. Then this billion becomes a few trillion, right? Out of that, today, human beings use about 1500. So pace of development of material science has been extremely slow. Imagine an aircraft which is 10 times stronger or safer than what it is today and probably 1/10 lighter. That will come from that. Imagine a data center, since many of you could be IT people, where the heat generation is low, power consumption is low, and you can have more and more data centers accommodated within the same space. That requires innovation on the material science front. And material science has started using AI in a big way. If some of you are interested, you can start looking at the internet. Of course, if you follow, you will come across a lot of examples of how material science is improving very fast, how medical science is improving very fast, how drug discovery cycles are cut down. We, of course, in real estate don't necessarily get impacted directly. Of course, as patients, we get impacted. As probably users of the material, we do get impacted. But our life, while it has got lesser examples, is equally getting impacted. In various functional areas, we have started getting impacted already or positively impacted. So I was closing a note today for my board. I just wanted the AI to tell me what to do with it. Is there any way I can do it better? And the beauty of the drafting that AI does, of course, you give the core draft yourself, but the nicety with which it redrafts things is unbelievable. I'm taking a very, very simple example, of course. And half of my analytics, I don't need an analyst anymore. I get a spreadsheet. I ask my AI to work through and give me some what I want to know, trends and all of that. The other day, I wanted an MIS of our sales situation. Okay, floor by floor, tell me how much of is my inventory. Tell me which inventory is sold, which inventory is not sold, how much sellable area is there. The entire format of that spreadsheet I created without opening my spreadsheet. Just by giving commands to an AI, it gave me a format. And I said, okay, now you know the format. Using my email box where I keep getting daily updates on various projects, please synthesize all this information and fill this MIS for me. And there you go. A minute later, I have got an MIS fully filled. Now that was unheard of. Earlier, you will sit with a assistant who will come and sit and understand what you want. There will be at least 3-4 versions. It will be about 3-4 days later, you will finally get an MIS. And you may or may not necessarily be happy with. Here you can move very, very fast. I met one of these AI companies which is going through designs, and this is more relevant to us, of course, but they are doing multiple design iterations. Many a times as architects, when we start designing or master planning, iteration becomes not only expensive, also time taking. Every iteration with an architect, in my experience at a master plan level, depending on how large or complex is it, could be taking 3 to 4 days minimum, 7 to 10 days maximum. And if you are willing to do, let's say 5 iteration, that means your design is taking 35 days. Right? And I'm limiting myself on the number of iterations that I want to go through depending on the budget, timeline, and cost, both budgets. How much budget do I have in terms of number of days, and how much budget do I have in terms of the cost that I can spend? And what AI is doing, and this is already in practice, this particular this particular AI is able to iterate about 1,000 versions of the design. So you feed all the local codes, FSI, and let's say it is a slum rehab 33.9, 33.10, whatever you want to put as your local code, which is applicable for your design. You give the land specifications, the survey details, and all of that. And you give the AI some basic design brief, and it is able to iterate and give me fast. Look at that power. 5 iterations versus 10,000 iterations. 5 iterations happen over 35 days. 10,000 iterations happen in about 3.5 hours. That's power. And that's going to be, I think, defining with respect to how businesses run going forward, irrespective of the industry. Our industry, of course, Cirrus has also started sales and CRM, and all the best to you guys. And I've had a chance to sit with these guys as well. There are people who have started working on CNP or contract and procurement related aspects where they want to bring intelligence to make things faster, better, more accurate, more relevant. I think that is very important. Many a times what happens, particularly in marketing sales, we do not know what is the spend going towards. I don't remember, I think Ogilvy or Ogilvy, I think probably said, when we spend $1 on advertising, we know that 50 cents is working for us. We do not know which 50 cent is that. So let's spend $1 because half of that $1 will definitely work for us. So that is a very, in absence of a better word to explain, throw your dart on a board and hope that some of them stick kind of an approach, which is what has run corporations for so long. Right? From there, if you are able to do a customized customer handling, a customized approach to acquiring a customer as a business, which has got a much higher possibility of acquiring a customer. So instead of 50%, let's say somebody says, okay, here is AI, and this 50% will now go to 95%. Because I'm going to the customer, I exactly know how the customer thinks. I exactly can interpret the customer's profile. I can figure out what is his budget or her budget. I could think what is it that his demand could be, and hence which product might work for him or which product might not work for him. As a result, you either avoid this customer or go more aggressively for that customer. Or how do you pitch differently to a particular customer? How do you appeal to that particular customer sensibilities or behavioral aspects? That's huge power for me. And data analytics of the kind in your space, and I'm assuming you guys are also working towards some of that only, is headed towards coming up with extremely customized sales and extremely customized consumer relationships, CRM as we call in our world. You don't need to have a one standard process for all 2,000 customers or potential in your lead pipeline of, let's say, 20,000 customers. You don't need to have one single brochure, one single copy as an advertiser. You can have multiple. You can have one for me, one for each of you sitting there, and all of us will exactly like a particular thing. It's like how our taste buds operate. It's like how our color choice operates. Many times we do not know why it operates in a particular manner. But I think it's a matter of time and it has already started. That process has already started where you can actually connect to the customer at an uh, extreme level of specificity. That would be my S in the stars. How do you make it hyper specific? To the dot. Not here, not there. So for example, when I wear a specs today, these specs kind of, most of you who wear specs know that the accuracy is 0.25. Either on the plus side or minus side, 0.25 diopters. Below 0.25 diopters is almost non-existent to my knowledge. So if you are crossing, let's say 3 power, you have to go to 3.25. What if your power is supposed to be 3.01? How do I detect that? How do I make it hyper accurate? Of course, I'm giving a different world example of spectacles, but our world is the same. When we design buildings with a factor of safety. Factor of safety means what? If I need steel worth, let's say 1 kilo, I might have end up using 2 kilos because I want to be safe. Right? Safety comes with cost. Safety comes with inefficiency. What if I can be more safe with less cost? These are thoughts to ponder over. I see each of these happening. I see each of these happening already in some cases. As I was reading the other day, whatever mankind has created, and I just told you about 30,000 years ago, we started discovering language and we started writing in some form or the other. Before printing press came also, we used to write on leaves, talpatra as we used to call. Maybe about 3 to 5,000 years ago, we started writing and recording. So history can be traced back to that. Maybe we were recording on a stone or on a leaf, doesn't really matter. But we have a human history of collective knowledge recorded in one form or other for about 3 to 5,000 years. And as of last year, AI has already digested all of that. There is no written text, no audio recording of anything, or no pictorial or video recording of anything which the AI has not already absorbed, read, analyzed, understood, interpreted, and hence is ready to leap to the next level in order to help you. That sounds staggering. And I think what is at the end, I do not know how much time I have. Can somebody please tell me that?
How much time does he?
I can't hear anybody.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Kalyan. You have your time, maybe 15 more minutes if that's okay, but it can be extended. Not a problem.
Okay, no, I don't have that much content. I'm largely empty here to be continuing for 15 more minutes, but I can, I think with respect to unexplored territories, but one thing which kind of, let me just jump around a little bit. What I suffer from, and as you grow higher in the organization, many of you are in different levels of decision making in your own organizations. What we suffer from is the decision making ability. I think the one challenge I face, and I would like to believe most people face, is how do I decide? Where is the break even? What is the trade off? What are my options? Why is one option better than the other option? What are the parameters I should choose to decide which decision is better than the other? And experience becomes of value because the chances or the probability of you winning goes higher with experience. That's at least a traditional wisdom, so to say. Now, AI is changing that. What is AI doing is it is making it a universe where whatever parameters you want, whatever inputs you want, whatever metrics you want, whatever trade-off variables you want, is now all condensed and converted into a single command. As long as the data is there and it is reliable, data is available, it is helping you very, very fast to come to a decision. So in a meeting room of 6 people, and it is something which I guess people with some experience will appreciate, that we used to sit in meeting rooms in order to brainstorm. And I think some amount of it is gradually disappearing already. Let's brainstorm. What do you think are the pros and cons of things? This particular idea. What do you think about that particular idea? And people kind of jump in, and we used to tabulate 20 years ago, saying, okay, here are all the pros, here are all the cons. let's put weightages, let's put scores, and let's see what does this entire conversation telling us. Is it telling us to go left or is it telling us to go right? Used to be a decision making dilemma we used to face. And ultimately, somebody used to have a veto right, somebody used to have more wisdom by virtue of experience or otherwise, and a call used to be getting taken. I see that disappearing very fast. The necessity to have brainstorming has already come down substantially. I think COVID has taken us away from physical meetings already to digital. Though I'm not too happy and have been apologetic to join this online, but this is one of the gifts of COVID, to be able to address a esteemed audience like this, sitting in the office if some constraints were to come along the way. That was unheard of 3, 4, 5 years ago, right? And that also took away along with it one big variable of decision making, that physical meeting. And AI takes it to a different level altogether. Forget about being virtual. You don't even need to be there. I will serve a cooked food to you, is what AI is telling us now. So from cooking the food physically to cooking the food virtually to cooking the food remotely to a fully cooked meal being at your doorstep through technology is a transition which we are seeing in literally 5 years. 1920 is when COVID introduced us to Zoom. We didn't even know what Zoom was, at least talking about me. I did not know of a company called Zoom 5, 6 years ago. And now we are saying, okay, Zoom is probably already half outdated. Everything is customized. Everything is one-on-one. Are you with me? So my excitement also comes from these unexplored territories. I think there are lots of territories which are completely unexplored, which is where I don't think AI can defeat us. AI can explore territories faster, better, more specifically, more accurately, more timely, more relevant in its approach towards that. But when it is unexplored, I think the jury is out there. I think in unexplored territories, we will lead the show. Human beings, the human intelligence will still have that additional creativity of let's go here and let's go there, let's improve this. Once you have decided the path, I think AI will go and conquer it for us faster. So I do not know what some of those unexplored territories are, because whatever I have discovered are getting explored already. Drug discovery is getting already, material science is already getting discovered, sales and impact of functional impact, let's say finance, procurement and contracts, in our case legal, probably things like customer services, all these aspects which are functionally very, very critical for a business to run well, they are obviously getting touched upon. But within those, I think once the basic problems are solved, let's say 60, 70, 30 or whatever percentage is solved over the next year, 2 years, and real estate becomes more efficient, more productive, more profitable, because once my cost of almost any transaction, whether it is acquiring a customer, whether it is keeping the customer with me, converting that customer, advertising it more hyper accurately with that customer or hyper specifically to that customer, reduces my cost. If my brokerage cost comes down, my sales cost comes down, my construction cost comes down, all of these opportunities are there. If the procurement analytics and procurement AI leads my cost to come down in that line item, sales and CRM brings down that line item, and my sales can go up if I'm being more accurate with respect to my sales strategies and execution. I am handling a different business altogether. Business is operating at a far higher efficiency, productivity, and all of that. That's the world, I think, not more than 3 to 5 years away. The faster we join the team and the faster we board that plane of AI, the better it is. So I keep telling my HODs that the time to get on board this AI is yesterday. We are already late. Get involved, start using wherever you can use, start encouraging others to use whatever you can encourage them towards. And we also must remember that whatever we are learning today in AI also will be redundant by tomorrow. The number of LLMs and all of that which are getting updated, versions are getting updated, is very, very fast. Grok, I am seeing every month and a half, they are coming up with something new. Even Gemini, I think You can see some of those 3 becoming 4, 4 becoming 4.5. These versions are getting released much faster than, let's say, Apple iPhones. They get used to get released, or Apple iPhones once in a year. Probably Android comes a little faster, maybe 2, 3 times in a year. And these are traditional technologies. Ideally, it should have been faster for them to move, but they are moving much slower. We become our better versions of ourselves even less slower. You know, what I was as a professional 30 years ago versus what I am as a professional today, I probably would have largely gone through some 4 5 versions with minor updates. I speak the same way, I communicate the same way, I get excited by the same things. But AI development is happening almost on a daily basis. Versions are getting released to me almost every week by all of these big players. Billions and billions of dollars which have not gone into AI or gone into any technology, forget about AI, in last, let's say 500 years, adjusted for inflation, has gone into AI in the last 2 years. So we are entering into not only uncharted territories, we are also entering into unlimited territories. There is no limit. Who will define a limit? What is the limit? How do we push those limits? We now have an agent who will do that for us. And of course, we all get excited about agentic AI. And agentic AI does a lot of things which we as agents, in our wildest imagination, probably cannot do. And much simpler, right? Can work 24 hours a day, doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to go through any kind of, moody behaviors. Tough times at home don't reflect necessarily in office. I'm saying in a lighter tone, lighter note, sorry. But effectively, agentic AI by itself, the enormous potential that comes with it in business spaces, and there are lots of agents, right? It's not only about sales agent, not only about customer agent. Lot of work we do, I think, in any industry. I would like to believe about 60 to 70% are roles or activities or transactions or tasks which are very agentic in nature, which can be defined into a set of rules, and those rules need to be followed. It's like defining an SOP. And here is somebody, an AI, who is not only the first SOP maybe you will write and unleash. Every time a new transaction is getting processed, the agent is getting smarter, better, more intelligent, and hence you as a corporation is benefiting from it. So I love that. I think entering into or exploring unexplored territories and entering into an era of limitless exploration or no limits world, practically, in almost every respect. To me, it is fascinating. So the pioneers of that space, and I think I would like to spend a couple of minutes on Cirrus since they are my hosts today. I think the pioneers in this space, and in India on real estate side, definitely you would probably be counted amongst the first few who have kind of unleashed yourself. That requires a lot of risk-taking ability, that requires a lot of belief in what you are pushing towards or pushing forward, what is the agenda that you are pursuing. That requires enormous amount of investment, commitment, conviction above all of this, because there is this process of changing the world. What AI is doing is not how is going to change the way the world is going to look like completely. There is a book, if some of you find time, please read, called Abundance, by the same two authors called Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. We have lived all our life, like I said, 2.5 million years ago we came to this world, and we have lived a world of scarcity or lived a life of scarcity. सब कुछ शॉर्टेज है, खाना शॉर्टेज है, पीना शॉर्टेज है, रहने के लिए रेंटल हाउसिंग शॉर्टेज है, घर शॉर्टेज है, ऑफिस स्पेस शॉर्टेज है, everything is at short supply. Okay, we still have roti kapda makan as our basic issues after 2.5 million of years of arrival on this planet. All of that, there is a prediction AI is changing over the next 25 years. We will be a society of abundance. Lots of income, lots of time, lots of leisurely hours available with us to do whatever we wish to do. No scarcity whatsoever. We are not designed, mentally speaking, as human beings to be living in a world of abundance. Our entire world is designed around scarcity. Pension systems, saving schemes, FD बना के पैसे रखो, mutual fund में पैसे रखो, all of that thing. Those are all good things. Please don't take it away as the keynote speaker is asking us to start spending money and not keep money. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is scarcity has driven all of us to certain types of behaviors over a few million years. And all of that flipping overnight, in let's say another 20, 25 years, to me, I think is very exciting. I have also heard about this geriatric studies which is happening in labs out there using AI. So our human life over the last 100 years or 150 years has seen the maximum elongation. Longevity expanded the most in the last 150 years or so. Penicillin came along. You had Ronald Russ discovering malaria, antiviral and all of that stuff. All of that happened literally 100, 150 years for during that period. Neonatal or natal, early mortalities used to be humongous. Before 500 years ago, about 80% children used to die. Now practically nobody dies. Practically we have conquered that bit. But our lifespan has gone up from about 30, 35 to about 75, 80, depending on, of course, societies, depending on different countries and their healthcare systems, their DNA, their genes.
Kalyan, on the quick time check, I think the Zoom session will be over in a minute. So
So I'll wrap it up.
Sure.
With that final example. With giving a big hope to everybody who is sitting there. These geriatric studies are predicting that in another 50 years, death will become optional because of AI. Now, I don't necessarily believe it. Please don't consider consider this as an endorsement from my side. But that is something where I call it as limitless. Imagine I having to decide whether to die or not or when to die. That is what AI can give us. So we are in the early stage of it. We are lucky to be in this era where AI has started. I still have about 10, 15, 20 years of work left, and I think I will see the real impact of full-fledged AI in business for the next 15, 20 years. Many of you are far younger than me. I am pretty sure you will see more of it, and you will have more bountiful time available to you to spend with your family as time goes by over the next few years. I congratulate Cirrus for organizing this, and I think it's a great initiative. I again apologize to the organizers, to everybody, and to everybody who is sitting out there. I wish I could be in person, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing out on all the energy, the intellect, and the knowledge I would have gained, and the network I would have gained by being physically there. Next time, I won't miss it. With that, I stop so that Zoom doesn't throw me out.
Thank you, Kalyan.
Thank you so much, sir, and we truly value your presence. We really wish you could have been here in person, but nonetheless, we look forward to seeing you the next year. Can I have a bigger round of applause for sir, please, and his valuable contribution to this very, very special session. Thank you so much, sir. We wish you the best in everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shubhamay, right?
Shubhajit, sir. Shubhajit.
Shubhajit, sorry.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. With your permission, may I log out?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Kalyan.
Thank you. One more bigger round of applause for sir, please. Thank you so much. You know, it's always, I won't say easy. It's you can have pointers and you can say a lot of stuff, but when you actually have all the information processed in your mind and you literally kind of shared those information one by one in a very, very interesting manner for the audience, never really easy. So big kudos to sir. We will now be moving on to the first panel. Before we move forward, can I please request for the 4 chairs on stage, please, alongside the table and the water bottles. Thank you so much. Using all your Hercules strength over here. Yeah. Curve karke aise. Straight. Middle 2 can be straight and then one can be curved, right? Is it fine? Just listen to sir jaise guidance de rahe hai, if you can listen. Is it fine now? Hanji? Yeah, sure. Please the water bottles as well kindly. Thank you. Thank you. And we have the mics. We have 2 mics over here. So We'll request. Okay. So just a bit of a request. We will have 4 speakers, 2 mics, so you can share with the person beside you. Amazing. Thank you. All the water bottles are ready. In the meantime, I'm going to be announcing the topic for the first panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very, very enriching conversation on from data to decisions, how agentic AI transforms real estate intelligence. I'll repeat the topic for everybody once again. This is about from data to decisions, how agentic AI transforms real estate intelligence. I'm going to be first inviting on stage our honorable moderator and then our speakers. My moderator for the session is Mr. Rishabh Goel, who's the MD and partner at BCG. A big round of applause for Mr. Rishabh. Please, if I may request, thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Where is he? Here. I'll request you to take your seat. I'll now be calling our speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, to join him on stage, we have Mr. Pankaj Kapoor, founder and MD Eliasis for us. Can we please have Mr. Pankaj over here on stage, please? Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Valued. And I'll request all the speakers to sit as per the photo arrangement because aesthetics are important and we want to take care of that. So yeah, Pankaj sir, thank you so much. My next speaker over here is Mr. Farman Khalid, who's the CDO at MR India. Thank you so much, sir. Good evening to you. I'll request you to take your seat. Thank you so much. My next speaker over here, ladies and gentlemen, is Rahul Pandit, who's the MD and CEO at Advent Hotels International. Mr. Rahul, can we please have you on stage? Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure to have you over here. Bahut shukriya. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be like a brief conversation around 20 to 25 minutes, Rishabh sir. And in case you want to integrate audience questions, we would like it to be integrated within that time. And yeah, if you want to ask questions, you can raise your hands, introduce yourselves, or else if you want to connect offline and ask, that's also completely fine. And I think I've spoken enough. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Great to be here along with such a distinguished panel. It's a very interesting topic as we kickstart the first panel of the evening. It's from data to decisions, how agentic AI transforms real estate intelligence. And it's a very paradoxical situation for real estate today. You have so much data everywhere. I'm sure we'll all agree. We have supply demand trackers, we have satellite feeds, we have online listings, we have CRM data, we have channel partners, we have agencies. All of that data is sitting, but are we really able to use it effectively? I think that's the big challenge. It's all sitting in different silos. People spend a lot of time maybe just gathering it, validating it, and don't even have enough time to interpret it, right? And we spoke about the speed of decision making. So if all of this process takes so much time, then how do we really become effective? But that's where AI and agentic AI really is changing the paradigm, right? It's really converting raw data into conversational and ready decision-making intelligence. And that's a big change. Imagine a company where the CXOs, the analysts, the site teams, they all have access to this unified data layer. And that really enables decision-making rather than spending a lot of time just parsing through it. And what impact does it have on the speed of decision-making, on the quality of decision-making, and interestingly also on the accountability of the decisions taken? I think these are all interesting questions that we have to deliberate on. And we have a wonderful panel today which actually brings a blend of different backgrounds and I think is very, very pertinent for the discussion today. So let's get started with that. And thank you so much, Rahul, Farhan, and Pankaj for joining us. As we get started, maybe on the first theme, I think it's important to really understand what the challenges are in the industry today as we look at this entire landscape of market research, intelligence, and data. And maybe if I can just pose a common question to all of you as we get started to say, what do you see as the biggest challenges or gaps in the intelligence ecosystem today? What are the kind of things that you feel people are struggling with in getting or in using data? Is it about getting it? Is it about trusting it? Is it about acting on it? What's the real challenge in your mind today?
I think bit of everything. So there is a data, but it's not a sacrosanct data. And the real estate is also a complex subject. So because it's immobile, it's one assets class which is highly contextual. So there is different layers of the data, and so when you buy a house, you actually buy a neighborhood, surrounding, social fabric, demographics, house, and along with the amenities and many other, and now the AQIs and the pollutions and many other aspects of that. Comprehending it, making a sense of it, actually is a challenge. And there's no one sets of the data, and we are still quite behind in sense of integrating the data. Like today we are using quite a lot of ML and many other machine learning tools to really cleaning the data and mapping it together. But there are big challenges because we still don't have unique property IDs like we have in the developed world, especially when I'm talking about India's real estate markets. And combining different layers of the data to really fulfilling this decision making. And the data is limited and in the different silos available. It also creates a doubts among the people. So when it comes like trusting it, so there are questions like, the decisions the data is giving you, actually everyone has so far learned to really go more intuitive. So in that particular sense, they do the question, they questions the data, like, is this data giving the right decisions? And this is also a complex subject when it comes to the real estates. I was recently analyzing one of the, key development, like cluster redevelopment. And 5.4 FSI is granted to rehab the tenants, as well as you also have to have the free sales area. And then to accommodate so much of tenants in the building, builder tends to make a larger size of apartment, whether it qualifies to the market dynamics or not. But because they want to maintain the efficiency in the design and planning, by not offering a smaller size of apartment, they became intuitive when they launch. And then they create a narrative that the luxury housing is actually a way to go forward, and everyone launches a housing. So in that sense, the data may be saying something different, but there's an intuitive answers among the people and who stand up and say that, no, there's a demand for the luxury housing, and that's being a narrative actually being posted all along. So there's a trust factor which is also there. And fourth point is also interpretation. It's a complex subject. I was speaking to the Balaji Rao just before entering this particular room, and he said that, real estate is a space science, but the least studied. We have gone to the moon, we have built the Chandrayaan and many other things, but when it comes to analyzing the space science, especially for the real estate point of view, we have done very limited. And my own sense is that the AI is going to really solve quite a lot of it. And that's where I'm actually very enthusiastic about the advent of the AI. It may probably analyze the layers of the data, which actually otherwise, as a human, we are finding it difficult to comprehend. Yeah, thank you.
Farhan, maybe your perspective on this question.
Hello. Thank you, Rishabh. Good evening, everyone. So, Rishabh, I will categorize these problems into two categories. One is outside environment, and the second is like inside my organization. Inside my organization, you just heard Mr. Kalyan, who is my boss. With such a tech-savvy and AI-savvy boss, I'm always on my toes. That's my biggest problem. Anyway, that was on a lighter side. So coming to the outside factors, we are living in a VUCA world, where the situation is changing very rapidly and very dynamic. So accordingly, our decisions has to be dynamic. When I started my career 25 years ago, a data warehouse project used to take around 1 year for implementation. Procurement of infra used to take 2 or 3 months. So the entire life cycle of a data warehouse or a business intelligence project used to be 1 year. And by the time that project completed, it had already lost its relevance. Today we are sitting in a world where within some minutes, AI can create dashboards, dynamic dashboards on any kind of data. That data can be relational, that data can be NoSQL, or data can be an Excel file. So the situation has changed dramatically. And we as an industry will also have to change. Otherwise, we will perish like the Nokias of the world. So difficult situations demand immediate and dynamic decisions. And that is the need of the hour. Every CXOs of the world needs to take, as Mr. Kalyan also pointed out, give me some options. You know, when you go to the board meetings, this is the first question. So what are the options we have? What kind of analysis you have done? And how to do that analysis? You need to have tools, you need to have data, and data systems that talk to each other. Currently, what is happening in our companies, each department is working on different systems. A sales department, for them the CRM is the bread and butter. They may be using the Salesforce of the world. For marketing department, the campaign data is very important. For my projects, the project tracking, Primavera, and there are different softwares they are using. But these systems are not talking to each other, neither do these people are talking to each other. So collaboration, that is a main problem, you know, that I have identified. All these systems have to talk to each other, and all these departmental heads or the teams have to talk to each other. In other words, we need to have a single source of data, a single repository which can fetch all this data and provide us meaningful analysis. That is the need of the hour. And more importantly, as I said, it has to be dynamic. As I mentioned, we are living in a VUCA world. You know, things are changing very fast, very rapidly. One day you wake up and you come to know, like, you know, Mr. Trump has imposed blah, 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 you know. So now you have to live in a new world, new regulations, new compliances. DPDP law has just been, you know, formalized. So again, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to prepare, we have to safeguard our data systems, because there's a huge penalty, 250 crores, the minimum penalty that is there. So as a CIO, this is my main responsibility, that, you know, I am able to cater to my leaders, provide them a platform. At the same time, I have to safeguard my company's data. So this is the major problem, and we have to look for some solution. One more point I want to highlight is how things have changed. When we were kids, to give you one example, there used to be one TV channel called Doordarshan. Gradually, things change. There are different channels. Information started flowing. And if you look at now, this period, the chat GPTs of the world, for our day-to-day task, we are consulting different chat GPTs. You know, every one of us. So our customer has become smarter and smarter. And they are taking smart decisions because they have these weapons. They have the data, they have the information that is freely available in the market. But what are we doing to tackle this scenario? We need to be miles ahead of our customer. For that, we need some platforms, we need some tools which can take smarter decisions for us. And I think that is the biggest problem that industry is facing right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Farman. Rahul, your
Rishabh, thank you. Your name itself is lots of gyan in Rishabh. So thank you everyone. Pleasure to be here. See, this is a gathering of peers. And we are all on the same plane. But looking at AI, I remember 2 years ago in New York, I was at the Blackstone CEO conference. And the chairman and CEO, Steve Schwarzman, he said something which was very interesting. He said that, look, today the average human intelligence or IQ is 160. And within our lifetime, AI is going to make it 12,000. And this was coming from Steve, who's seen multiple industries in cycles 360. So come to think of it, you are working with somebody who's 160 today. And you can say this customer, this stakeholder, this colleague, this vendor, this environment is 160. And lo and behold, couple of years down the line, that's 12,000. So it's going to be not only transformative, we'll have to also think of ethical guardrails when it happens. Now, thinking of our business, real estate, and if I see across multiple asset classes, Kalyan spoke of how it's going to accelerate different things. You also spoke of the impact on societal factors. And I was smiling when you also introduced AQI. Farman, sorry, you were speaking of also collaboration, all of these challenges. So while we have all of that, between all of these choices and lots of stuff, sometimes you have to, one has to say if there is so much, and VUCA, as he said, what do we focus on? And where is it that probably when we think of agentic, can it give us real arbitrage? So I think there are probably 2 or 3 key opportunities looking at different industries and businesses. The first is, what is this agentic AI going to do to our sales funnel? Because the regular sales funnel, the guys who are going to lead in real estate is who are going to disrupt the regular sales funnel, which flows vertical, and then we are measuring conversions at each stage. It's going to become very horizontal. Because instead of asking a consumer whether that guy is doing office or buying an apartment or a hotel room or whatever, different variables, I think what agentic is making very easy for us is to start looking at customer personas. So as an example, let's say you are doing a branded residence. Instead of asking all the regular factors, if we have a persona, for example, to say this is a single parent buying a house versus somebody, who are double income, no kids, or somebody who has a family, or somebody, let's say, who's a traveling businessman. The moment you have those profiles, suddenly something magical happens. We can figure out how much space do they need, what customization, what facilities, what pricing. So it leads to, the beauty is that even though it's a mass product in whatever we are doing, not only the offer, the solution becomes very hyper-personal. So in our businesses, I think the biggest, we all have limited time, bandwidth, and resources. So from my perspective, if we start focusing on immediate, the customer funnel and what can it do in collapsing, and when it collapses, another beautiful thing happens with this. One is not only is the sales velocity going up, it's also optimizing the purchase mass. Because if you want repeat business, it's not that you get the highest price, but that customer gets, for example, the optimum price. So there are second, third order benefits. The retention with you is longer, the word of mouth is longer, the repeat is longer, so on and so forth. So if you multiply accelerated sales velocity and the optimum sales mass, what we are effectively getting is a much bigger purchase momentum. That's the first advantage I see. The second which is very interesting, is that in our businesses traditionally, we have seen CRM and then we say ERP, so we say front end, back end. So we say there is Salesforce and then there is SAP, for example. And hey, how do both talk? And then, you have to make sense for business. I think with agentic, because if you have a universal and hyper-personal view not only of the customer, but of your business and internal stakeholders, slowly the distance between CRM and ERP is going to finish off. I think tomorrow, and I already see solutions which are actually putting a layer on top of both CRM and ERP and extracting very relevant data. And there are lots of companies, and there's a very interesting company, and I actually saw that in 2018 in China. It's called H World. They were developers, went into technology, went into a hotel company, and I could see, and I was zapped actually seeing the Chinese. From site selection to understanding of consumer, to fill rate, sell rate, production values, they plugged one thing in and you could produce a BOQ, construction timelines, state permits, all baked in. So I was so delighted. And this was just a small perspective couple of years ago in China in one company. So that's happening. The third, and I think many of us would be looking at that, if we look at our businesses, we typically have different stages. So we have an investment development stage, we have a construction project management stage, we also have a sales occupation stage, then we have an asset management operations and all of that. In this entire business of agentic, I think we need to realize, sometimes realizing what our limitations are, that could be a very big advantage. If I start saying that, look, I'm Shah Rukh Khan, and I have no fertility on top, then I'm fooling myself, So as long as I say that, I have the sun sitting on top, then I'm great. So instead of trying to say that we are going to put our bandwidth from investment decision to development decision to project decisions to construction management to sales and ops and portfolio management, I think the best companies would be those that start focusing on saying, depending on their intent, capital stack, bandwidth, and customers, where is it that they are going to focus to deliver the maximum arbitrage. So there will be, and there is, we can see globally, this separation of returns in all of this. So as I said, we need to realize, we are 160 and the opportunity is 12,000. And the biggest there is, how do we accelerate our sales funnel? The second is, how do we think of CRM and ERP instead of different, it's one river which is flowing through. And the third is, we have to really choose to say, where in the cycle are our businesses adding value? And I think pivot our businesses, focus to say, where is it that we can deliver the maximum arbitrage? So these are good opportunities with AI.
Got it. No, great. I think a lot of very interesting points and great opportunities. But one of the questions, at least I was pondering about is, what's the cost of not adopting this, right? And maybe Pankaj, it'll be interesting to hear from your interactions with developers. Have you seen people actually lose value because they did not take the right decision on time, because they just relied on intuition, didn't really use data, they were late to market shifts? Any examples that come to your mind about really what's the cost of not adopting a data-led approach?
If you go by the data, that 20% of the supply is still stalled. So clearly indicating there has been a very big case where the people have not really gone by the data, they've gone by the intuitions. And our 2007-2008 period itself has several such examples when the global financial crisis took place. And before that, the point of view and the narratives and intuitions the builders had while procuring the land at any price they were really procuring the land, not looking at the demand, not looking at any data. And they were disputing the data. I remember a time like, in 2007-8, when we published first time that the inventory is rising, and then the price rise is becoming unproductive because the velocities are going down. I was badly refuted by all the stakeholders in the market, and no one liked us. And that has been a case of that. So it's not only one example, and this is happening right now also. My previous example itself is thinking about luxury housing, where the demographic distribution is very different, and we are catering to only 2% of the market. But thinking about irrespective of the local market dynamics and the micro market, luxury will get sold out. I think this is a wrong approaches. So, there has been several such cases and glaring examples of that.
Absolutely, and I think that's what is the right point for reflection, to say the cost of making mistakes is so high in the real estate industry that the more we can actually go towards data and using agentic AI will really move our industry in the right way and create more sustainable business models. But maybe now really talking about the potential, what's exciting about agentic AI? Maybe Farman, if I were to ask you, if one of the potentials is moving from passive dashboards to conversational intelligence, which people have at their hands whenever they want it, what will be the impact of that in organizations like yours? And which decisions do you think will actually get impacted the fastest and the earliest, which today take time, but with the advent of agentic AI can really happen much faster and much better?
This is a very good question, Rishabh. So initially, if I talk about the traditional way of reporting, we used to call it MIS. Each function in a company used to have some MIS people who used to create reports, static reports. And, it used to take quite good amount of time, creation of those MIS dashboards. And once they create it, then they will send it to their bosses, and then their bosses will have a look, and then they will take some decisions. But gone are those days. Now we have entered an era where, we can create automatic dashboards using tools through agentic AI and LLM models. Now, the advantage of it, the biggest advantage is the speed. Speed of taking decisions has increased. Now, we don't depend on some particular persons in our organization. That person, he will come to office, he will create the dashboards, and then he will give it to us. Now, it's all democracy. Anybody can ask questions to the agents and can get the answer. And now, why this speed is important, because in real estate, you have to understand the market sentiments. You have to understand what is the pricing model, what is the pricing strategy that we have to adopt. And these are must-have for a successful real estate projects. Inventory, that is another one good use case, how much inventory is there, why it's not selling. Now we can go till why. So what used to happen, we used to only ask what is happening. And static dashboards used to give us the answer of what. Now we can ask why also, because the agentic AI agents can give us the reasons why your product is not selling, how you can improve it. So one advantage, the biggest advantage is of course the speed. Second advantage is reducing the dependency on certain individuals or teams, and quick decisions. This is the biggest advantage.
Yeah. So in a way, at least your sense is that a lot of sales related decisions, pricing, inventory, based on inventory visibility, market sentiment, that's what will potentially become very quick and easy with these, apart from many other things, but maybe one of the early adoption use cases. Great. Now, in the interest of time, I know we are already a bit behind. I'll maybe make this my last question to Rahul and then summarize. Rahul, of course, AI is great. Of course, while there is work to be done to get all this data together, but the potential is quite close, right? And we will hopefully get there. But what about trust? Do you think people will be comfortable in trusting AI recommendations? And if you were to run your business based on just an AI recommending, would you be comfortable? Or what will it take for you to really build confidence in taking decision based on AI recommendations?
It's a very interesting question. I think we should actually, this is a good thing, we should actually be asking everybody in the audience, because this is very critical. And yesterday itself, I was reading of this model, and 3 students, all 3 on the Peter Thiel scholarship. I think it's called Mercor or something. So, and the beautiful thing is, these guys are paying $85 an hour, I read, to different professionals, to lawyers, bankers, techies and all that, to say, hey, this is our model. So this is our AI model, which is going from 160 to 12,000, but we'll pay you $85 an hour to test it, because you are then going to be building a much more trustable model. So it's actually humans teaching the model. And what Farman was saying, this was so interesting, to say the data has to not only tell us the what, but also tell the why. So I think if along with the what, we get the rationale for the why, then it will build trust. But because, look, we are going to walk hand in hand with the partner who's 12,000, I think that partner will, we will need those guardrails constantly. Otherwise, imagine you have your child, you are parents, we are parents at 160, and you have your child at 12,000. So the first 1 or 2 years you say the child is this and the child is learning from me. And hey, by the time the child is a teenager, that guy is 1,000. By the time the guy is ending his teens, he's 10,000. By the time the guy has become an adult, he is 12,000. And you were earlier saying, do we trust? What do we do? So we have to go ahead and do that. And whether we trust or don't trust, I'm reminded of what Barack Obama said. So he was once walking out of the Oval Office. There was this very big debate on the Democrats are supposed to be furthering the cause of education and all that, but there was some stuff where the cost of education was going up. He had finished an interview. And this journalist, while they were walking out, so she asked him, said, Mr. President, don't you think, that the cost of education is going up? So should people really be affording that? And Obama's instinctive thing, and this was not part of the interview, but what came out of his head, he said, I know the cost of education is high, but ask me, what is the cost of not educating yourself? So I think what Shri Obama said has some meaning for us also, as we think of AI and for our businesses.
Great, great analogy. No, and I think with that I'll summarize, and I'll also leave some time for the other panels which have to come up. But at least for me, as I was listening to all our panelists, there were 2 or 3 themes that stood out for me. One, I think we started with this entire element of saying that there's a lot of contextual data, fragmented data in real estate, which is really the starting point and the challenge where the industry hasn't really been able to integrate and drive good quality decision making, and so it's still very intuition led, right? But today we are clearly seeing that the single source of truth and blending this data together is not optional at all. It has the importance of driving speed of decision making, the quality of decision making. The ecosystem is evolving, so we really can't wait for them to move ahead and for us to get left behind. And so I think companies which are actually blending all of this and really adopting it will be the ones who are having the competitive advantage in the market going forward. And I hope many of you in the audience will reflect on this and start a discussion in your organizations on how can you adopt AI and what can that unlock for you and your businesses. So thank you so much to all the panelists and
Yes.
to all of you.
Thank
Sir,
you
I
so
have
much.
a question.
Yeah, yeah.
So just one question for the panel.
Sure, we'll take one
Yes,
question.
thank you so much. Myself, Mohniraj. I'm the managing director and CEO of Realty Private Limited. It's a mandate company running in Pune and Mumbai. So, in my experience of 15 years, I always have believed in the data. I use Liases for the services a lot, extensively, to convince the developers to, design the product as per the data. But sir, I have seen, I also keep saying to my team, beta jhoot bolega, data nahi. And I try to use data as much as possible, but I have seen a lot of success stories, those who have come out of the instinct or intuition of the developers. Right now in Pune, sir, 60,000 inventories are hanging around as per your Liases for us data. Still, in last quarter, one of the developer launched, which is more 13 kilometers away from the Pune location, a premium housing project, townships, and sold 1,300 odd units in just one day. So how AI is going to, play with or maybe handle this kind of situation, because data says there is no sales in that particular territory or micro market, but someone launches with the instinct or some, intuition, and then they sell in like lakhs and crores of rupees inventory. So how AI will handle this?
Maybe I'll ask Pankaj. I think he's best suited to answer this.
In Delhi NCR, in 2006-07, the day the project used to be launched, everything used to get sold out. And then you realize that the builder never constructed, and there are investors who has purchased the property, and then those guys pay only 10%, and the remaining money never comes, and project never takes off. So I'm saying that there may be aberrations in the market. It's hard to really, and I believe the AI cannot participate and answer, because it's beyond the dynamics of the space. It's beyond the dynamics of market. And so, these kind of aberrations will come. Having said that, the AI should give answers. I probably have to ask the SID if these kind of question can be asked in Cirrus agentic. And if the AI answers and says that don't develop, something like that, you may mesmerize the world and say that I've sold so much within 1 day or 2 days, and this is, but it's highly irrational. I doubt the irrationality can be answered by the AI.
Thank you, Pankaj. And maybe I can just add that at the end of the day, entrepreneurial intuition and instinct is critical in any business. But I feel that AI as an enabler can really improve the quality of decision making in many organizations. So I think somewhere it will always be a blend of individual instinct, but enabled and challenged by AI to make the best decision. So thank you again. Thank you, everyone.
Request all of you to please remain on stage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be calling up on stage Dhara Patel to please kindly come and give the token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers. Give a big round of applause to Dhara Patel, please, from team Cirrus.ai. Thank you. You can come from here. And we'll request for a group photograph of all 4 of you. Maybe if we can do it in a better aesthetic way, can I request all of you to come over here at the front? Because the table is kind of photobombing a little bit. Maybe I'll put it behind. We want everything perfect, so. Yeah. I'm just trying to do my best. Can we have a big round of applause for our speakers, please, from data to decisions? And I'm sure their enriching conversation has empowered all of you into taking some important decisions. Thank you so much. I'll request all of you to remain on stage. Dhara, if you can please come on stage and give the token of appreciation to our speakers. Big round of applause for Dhara as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. You be over there. I'll pass it quickly. Yeah. That's great. I'll request you to join back for a group photograph with Dhara as well. So yeah, that would be ideal. Thank you. Have all of our speakers received? Yeah. Thank you so much. Can we have another group photograph that includes Dhara in the frame as well? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was all about from data to decisions, how agentic AI transforms real estate intelligence. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we conclude the first panel, and we will now be moving to the second panel discussion. Thank you so much to all the speakers for taking out time from their respective busy schedules to be with us over here. We value that effort a lot. We'll now move on to the next panel discussion. We have the mics, I hope, ready on stage, right, quickly. So let me kindly move forward with the next panel discussion. This is going to be about from manual productions to automated campaigns, turning assets into stories with AI-enabled content at scale. I'll repeat the topic for the next panel discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be about from manual productions to automated campaigns, turning assets into stories with AI-enabled content at scale. I'm going to be first introducing our moderator, and then I'm going to be introducing our speakers. My moderator for the session is Mr. Chaitanya Seth, who's partner at EY. A big round of applause for Mr. Chaitanya, please, as he joins us over here on stage. Thank you so much, sir. Shukriya. I'll request you to take your seat, the moderator's hot seat, like Bachchanji says in KBC. Thank you. I'll introduce my speakers now. May I please have on stage Mr. Yash Paleja, real estate growth strategist on stage, please. Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure to have you over here. Bigger round of applause for Mr. Yash, please. Thank you. My next speaker over here is Mr. Balaji Rao, who's an honorable real estate visionary and mentor. A big round of applause for sir as well, please. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And my next speaker is Mr. Sarthak Seth, who's the Senior VP and CSMO, Tata Realty and Infrastructure Limited. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us over here. Can I have a bigger round of applause for the panel, please? It's not every day that you get such stalwarts all under one roof, right? So when we have them, we make the most of that. So thank you so much, sir, and over to you. It's going to be a 20-minute session. We look forward to the enlightening session.
Good evening. Warm welcome to everyone, and quite excited to be here with esteemed panelists and extremely relevant topic for today. Topic is long, but I'll just summarize it. Why it is relevant? Because it's talking about an area which is probably evolving, shaping, and transforming the entire industry, which is marketing and technology put together. To just put some context to it, if you look at few years back, it was largely a seller's market. But no more today, it's far more a buyer's market. Today, customer is far more young, demanding, experience-led. There's complete information asymmetry. Customer coming before to your site knows everything about your project, the amenities, the price, the micro market, the competition, and you know nothing about the customer. Technology is on our face. And I think that's the shift which we have seen from marketing, which was far more standard and tactical, to becoming actually more strategic and a boardroom conversation. And is AI a medium to enhance, catalyze that further? Is it really going to help the art of storytelling and emotions, which is going to run around that? Is it really going to change the way the marketer's job has been? So I think that let's try and unbox all these things with our esteemed panelists and their ideas. Let me start with you, Balaji, first. I think you have been in this industry for quite some time. Can you just throw some light? What changes have you seen? Marketing as a function, what evolution have you seen in the recent few years?
Interesting question, Chaitanya. I've been in this industry for almost 4 decades. From the time I came when we were selling only singular buildings, today you have townships. So there has been remarkable change and metamorphosis in the market, no doubt about it. And I agree with you, it is moving from a seller's market to a buyer's market. I also agree with you there's information asymmetry. But sometimes information asymmetry is on both sides. The buyer really doesn't know what he's buying, I can assure you. They really don't know what they're buying. Because even when RERA has come in and they put all that information on the site, nobody goes to look at it. Nobody has a clue, frankly. And I'm talking about nobody means 80% of the buyers. Similarly, you're also right that the seller doesn't know about the buyer because he really hasn't profiled the buyer. He doesn't know how to appeal to him. And he has always enjoyed a seller's market. Take it or leave it. In fact, today, as we speak in an evolved way, which builder would ever change his sale agreement, even if you don't like some of his clauses. He'll say, take it or leave it. It's actually a printed booklet. And where you have to sign, you sign and go. So these sort of changes, will they come about due to AI? First and foremost, I don't think AI is artificial. I almost would call it alternative intelligence. It is nothing artificial about AI. It's just collecting the data, turning it into information, and turning it into actionable intelligence. So will it make a difference? It'll make a huge difference. And especially in the MarTech, what we call marketing technology and PropTech, it'll make a significant difference because it'll start personalizing. One of the characteristics of the Indian real estate market, I can tell you, is the Indian national is a very different person as compared to the rest of the world. In one aspect, they like it always personalized. Whether you go to a flat, a bungalow, a villa, or even a slum or a chawl, they like to personalize their living dwelling unit. You don't find it anywhere else in the world. You can really give cookie cutter. Here, except if you're staying in a government housing, it's always customized. That means people want personalized choices. And that no builder understands. He tries to make it cookie cutter, correct? So I have a feeling this so-called AI will bridge that very effectively. Because if I really know what the seller, what the buyer wants, I can customize my product. So we are not just talking about customizing a brochure or the message to him. It's also first customizing the product to him. And then naturally you will customize the message to him, isn't it? So I think this significant change is happening. And AI will be able to expedite that. And if it can crash the timeline, as Mr. Kalyan said, I think that's going to be very important, whereas to make this a significant inflection point in our industry, where you today, the buyer, even though he might not have all the information, at least he gets what he desires, you know? Like most, otherwise it is just completely templating and box fitting every buyer into what I have made as per so-called intuition. So there has been a significant change and it's an exciting time, I think.
I like that alternative intelligence, and I think personalization is the key which you talked about, and which essentially becomes a very challenging role for a marketer. So Sarthak, if you just want to kind of talk about maybe two things. One, as a marketer, the role has changed significantly, what I've seen, right? From probably an awareness, now actually the entire funnel fulfillment is coming back to the marketer. So which is essentially putting a lot of challenge in terms of the skills, the capability, the way you're looking at the outcomes and so on and so forth. So how do you deal with that as a challenge? And second, I think when you talked about the personalization part of it, can you also throw light in terms of how the current content production happens? What's the current cycle or the way of doing things? And then we can take it from there.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. There are two things what we are speaking over here. One is from a personalization perspective, from a creative standpoint and everything. And the second is from a brand funnel perspective. So I have just a different opinion, Chaitanya, over here, that marketer was only looking onto the awareness part of the funnel. It was always awareness, familiarity, consideration, purchase, because this is how the entire funnel has always been. I would say the last bit which was added was repurchase or the loyalty. That actually added up later on. So marketers have always been responsible. दिखाना भी है, समझाना भी है, बुलाना भी है और बेचना भी है. So I would say it's a cross thing. What as marketers, and a lot of guys are marketers, so at least they would agree with me on this particular thing. Coming on to your point in terms of how the content has changed, how the production has changed, and even from a personalization standpoint, I think with AI, one of the key things is timelines have got crunched. I can say that because earlier, if you give a brief for a campaign, probably your initial cuts might come in from a 4 to 6 weeks time. It's not only at our end at a corporate side, but even at the agency side, they had been using best of the AIs now. A lot of internally, we are also doing a lot of content on mid journeys and everything now, but at the agency side also they are doing it. So this is like, at least the timelines are getting crunched. But again, I would say most important thing for a marketer today is the brief what they're actually giving. If you are not giving the right brief, come what may, any AI in this world cannot correct your brief. So it is all about garbage in, garbage out. So even when you are giving a brief to your agency, you have to be very, very specific on the brief itself. And from there, you can really enhance everything, right? On the content side, again, I would say it is like earlier you used to create content which might take you probably a 20 days period or 30 days period. Today, you're getting those content at a whisker. And even we have seen that the life of a content today is just what, 10 seconds. As soon as the content is out, you have seen it, absorbed it. How much of the content you would have seen since morning on your phone, can you recall the first content, the very first thing what you saw in the morning itself? No. Believe me, none of us can. So the life of a content is only 10 seconds today. It is all about how I am able to engage with that customer within those 10 seconds. Am I relevant? So that is the most important thing for us to ask, that, okay, the content what I'm throwing, is my content relevant to this end consumer? If that content is relevant, and that is where I think AI really plays a very important role today, because you know from a customer standpoint that, okay, what this customer has been liking, what this, from a TG profiling perspective, you can do the right mix of content to them. Because earlier creating multiple contents was actually taking a lot of time. Today you can actually create multiple contents within hours, within minutes. So that is where I think AI really enhances, it multiplies, and it gives you that choice. Even like we work on SFDC, SFMC, I would say even hyper-personalization, the way we had spoken, that becomes so very important. And with that particular content piece, we have seen that earlier, if you're going to send mailers and everything, the open rates, like if you would have a 2% open rate, people will, wow, you've done an excellent job. Today, I think my IT team is sitting, my marketing colleagues are sitting. We have got an open rate of more than 35%. Just imagine.
Fantastic.
So I think a lot of advancements have happened. AI definitely helps from the perspective of creating a relevant content, creating it in a faster manner, reducing those timelines, and building on efficiencies. Earlier, you might want to read the data. Today, with your dynamic, I would say, the way the dynamically the data is coming back to you, you don't have to really scan through each and every line item. You are just aware of it. Tuck, 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 these are 3-4 pointers. I just need to work on this. Right? So you can just go ahead, because it's a never-ending topic. I can just continue, honestly. So you can just go ahead.
Yeah. I think, but great points, Sadak. I think speed, personalization, efficiency were the key takeaways. And I think I'm happy to hear that you've been talking that it's not only your move from a human production to actually using AI from 4 to 6 weeks to a few hours and minutes. I think that's a great story for all of us to kind of inspire to see that that's something which has been kind of lived and kind of delivered. So, Yash, talking to you, he talked about very clearly the big gains coming out from this. Can you also help all of us demystify, understand how does the AI-led marketing forms, formats, campaigns look like? What are the kind of mediums which are there? What kind of formats can be kind of picked up through that? So you can just throw some light on that.
Thanks, Chaitanya. Very important question. Let me start by saying that probably a few years back, real estate and AI, forget AI, just technology. These two terms were almost oxymorons. And today we are at such forums where we're talking, AI implementation, AI adoption in real estate. So the journey has, been there, and that journey has also affected, the marketing team of every developer, every, channel partner in this country. A pattern where, the marketing team talks to an agency, gives, does a Zoom call or a, G-Meet, explains the whole campaign or the expectation. exchanges mails on, what the content copy should be like, all of that. Things have changed from there, and, then the marketing agency coming back with certain, creatives, certain copies, certain campaign ideas, and that to and fro happening for, for a few weeks. This entire, journey of creating a whole campaign for a product, which used to probably take 30 to 45 days before it gets finalized, and then obviously then you go to the promoters and get it approved, and that takes so anywhere between probably 30 to 60 days for that whole process. Today this process has been curtailed. Probably all of this could happen in a few days. Obviously depends from organization to organization, but all of this can happen in a few days because a lot of ideas, a lot of prompting, a lot of, tooling is done through AI agents, AI platforms. And, the way, let's be very honest, when we talk artificial intelligence, let's not forget the intelligence has to be fed to the platforms. So once, I'm assuming that once that is done, a lot of ideas, a lot of permutations and combinations, a lot of content copy, a lot of creatives, which probably human mind cannot comprehend in those 30 days. Probably an idea could come after 6 months. Arey, haan, ye bhi kar sakte the. But in those 30 days, the timing of the launch, or probably a timing of a relaunch or a reactivation, or the season time of the cyclical real estate sector, you can't lose those moments. You can't lose those weeks, those weekends. And AI helps a lot in that, where, all of this is, automated. A lot of intelligence comes through these platforms, and then you get the right to choose. Not only that, if you see from a whole marketing perspective, of a developer or a real estate seller, like Rahul said, the funnel, which was only looked at vertically, inquiry, lead, qualified lead, site visit proposed, site visit done, negotiation, closure, loss, whatever. Today, the whole funnel is obviously looked at that way also, but is also looked at from the customer's journey point of view. Today, a real estate buyer does not, from the point he starts thinking that, yes, I want to buy a real estate, or I want to buy an apartment or a property. From that day till the moment he actually gives a check, that gestation period could be anywhere between 30 to 45 days to even 6 months, a year, or even beyond that. Today, AI helps us to look at the funnel from the customer's journey point of view also. Where is the customer today? Because like, Balaji also said that hyper-personalization, today there are tools, there are AI platforms which help you to figure out, understand the customer's psychographics and plot him in his journey. Where is he right now in the journey? And where are you expecting to be in your funnel? Now, if you correlate that, you can exactly know what drip marketing campaign you need to put for him, when do you need to pin him with what information that will help him to decrease his gestation period. Because like both of them said, that the customers don't know much. They're not too well informed about a real estate product, which ideally is their most important purchase of their lifetimes probably, but not very well informed in today's times. And if AI platforms are helping, the developers to plot the funnel not only vertically but also horizontally as per the customer's journey, where is he in his journey in buying his real estate asset, and that helps to create, all drip platform, all drip algorithms for the customers, for follow-ups, and AI can handle all the data, all the documentation, and all the follow-ups. And then there is the human who can build trust, negotiate, and close. So that's where the journey for a marketing department has changed. It has transformed drastically from, a very mundane process of multiple weeks or months to a very data-oriented, a very scientific process which happens very quickly and saves the essence of time in real estate, which is very important.
I think important point you talked about the entire customer psychographic segmentation, the entire journey. I think that's a relevant point for a developer and a prop tech company to kind of align to that. But I'll still go back, Balaji. I'll just want to check with you. I think while Sarthak gave some great movement from 2% to 35%, Yash talked about it. But when I still talk to a lot of developers, prop tech companies, the adoption is at a very, very nascent stage. It's only in the pockets with developers and pocket use cases only. When we are saying so much about speed, we are saying about hyper-personalization, it talks about the business outcomes. What is actually stopping this adoption? Because technology and real estate have never gone together. They have been laggards in adopting it.
See, you have to understand real estate is going through a gradual transformation from mom and pop stores to corporatization, to digitization, which is there, and also what we call to financialization, where it's becoming more into instruments also for investment. So I would think as the market is really not dominated by a few players, even all the top listed players can only control 20% of the market. So the 80% of the market is with the unstructured players. So they will take time to adopt and they will follow. And then not to be a Cassandra or to say that this is wrong, but think about this. If you feed all the data into a agentic AI model, and we tell them what was all the price at which it has moved, assuming it has all been sold by check and not cash. The first question any customer would like to ask is, when I'm buying something, what was the last price it was sold? What was the average price in this project? Builders would hesitate to tell them that. They will tell them what is the future it would reach, but he's not going to say, oh, you know, I started at 8,000, but now you have come, it is now 12,000. You understand? So really information, or if he says, are there any litigations on this land? Yeah, we are fighting about 4 cases, but don't worry, it will be settled by the time you get it. So information can be damning also. It's not always going to be positive. So to answer your question, will a developer really want everything to be open and transparent? Unlikely. So it's easy, as Yash said, that you can build certain aspects in your advertising campaign, which is basically selling a dream. You're figuring out what he wants. He wants a balcony, he wants a kitchen garden, he wants a playhouse. You're selling him the dream. It's not very easy to tell him the facts of the case, that this is what is happening. Most projects, I can assure you, do not have financial closure. That means you're telling the guy, if for whatever reason sales don't happen in this project, you're going to be hanging. Because where do I get the money from? I can only get the money from the sales. So what sort of facts will you tell him? Will you tell him about the projects that have collapsed? Or will you tell him, like Pankaj pointed out, that there's an inventory overhang in this micro market? So you're only going to be very careful in selecting what facts you want to feed him. Will AI do it? Of course it will do it, because GIGO.
All right. So, Sarthak, I think he mentioned, right, 20% to 30%, let's say, contribution comes from listed developer. And we talked about the power of AI. We all talked about it. We agreed with that. Do you think this AI will keep on increasing the divide and will essentially kind of consolidate to a large extent this entire industry? The competitive advantage it will offer will actually kind of make it very difficult for very niche players or local players who are not adopting it? Or alternatively believe that everyone will get onto an AI bandwagon and will become a norm. It will not be an option anymore. So what is your thought process?
Okay, so I'll just take a step back and come from his point first. The adoption part, what you asked. So we need to understand, is AI adoption we are talking, or is digital adoption we are talking? Right. The digital drive started sometime around 2013, 2014. Today, if you will see, most of the developers being mid, small, large, all of them are already there. So it is none of them that they can actually do away with digitization as such, right? So definitely AI is the subsegment of that. It's the next level Correct. Again, currently, lot of people, because of, I would say, the cost, they are a bit hesitant because obviously they would want to really evaluate that इसमें इतना डालूंगा तो कितना निकलेगा. It is all about what can be or how much they are losing onto it. But if at least the way the real estate market has been in the last, I would say 3 years plus, which is like skyrocketing, so people are anyways selling the product. The real essence would come when we are going to see certain stagnation or certain downtrend in this market, when people will start to evaluate what next I need to do. See, the digital adoption also started from that perspective, digital marketing. We were only talking about in real estate, traditional marketing, print ad karo, full page, front page do, देखो बिकेगा. होर्डिंग भर भर के सब जगह लगा दो. यही होता था. 70% of the real estate is normally being sold into that 5 to 7 kilometers micro market. So you are just going to be present everywhere. But then people realized, oh, there is one more animal in the park now, which is performance marketing. And then everybody just latched onto it. That is where your entire thing of lead, qualified lead really came in. ट्रेडिशनल मीडिया के अंदर आप लीड क्वालिफाइड लीड की आप बात करते थे ना, आप बात करते थे वॉक इन कितने आए. सो यू जस्ट एडेड 2 एलिमेंट्स, लीड, वहां से क्वालिफाइड लीड, अब वॉक इन, अब बुकिंग. सो डेफिनेटली AI is going to be adopted, but it is all about the cost benefit analysis, especially for players at large. So when this particular thing gets a bit commoditized, people are really latch onto it, people are really going to go for it. Coming on to data availability, data visibility, definitely there are other forums which will do that. So we're talking about PropTechs. In India, not even 10 PropTechs were registered till 2015. Today you would have more than 850 PropTechs which are already registered. So a lot of these are already working on getting this data fetched from the IGR and putting it across on their platforms. So the customers are anyways getting literate, saying that अच्छा इस particular micro market में इस project के अंदर 5 साल पहले ये price था, today this price has actually moved up. कितना बड़ा, parallelly इस project के साथ के competition का कितना बड़ा, so where should I invest or which market I should invest. So all these things are going to be there. The only thing is, I would say, people would also see that, okay, what advantages others are actually making. Cost benefit analysis, with time, for sure it is going to happen.
So it will become a norm as it commoditizes.
It will.
Great. So maybe given the time, I'll just ask a final question to you, Yash. In terms of, we talked about the entire impact AI can become, and I think clearly said that that's going to also be the norm as such, right? How do you see essentially then marketing being a role? Do you see that the agencies will get replaced by AI? Marketing team will get replaced by AI? Is there going to be a coexistence? What is going to be the then, because it's a clearly enabler, a strong catalyst role, right? How do you see that function emerging maybe 5 to 10 years down the line?
Chaitanya, see, to be very honest, AI is not going to replace humans in real estate. Okay, let's be very honest. Real estate in India, at least for the next 2.5 decades, what I see, because after that, Gen Beta will be the real estate buyer. He'll reach that age group, and then God knows what happens. But next 2.5 decades at least, humans are not getting replaced by AI. Let's be very sure of that. Yes, real estate professionals for sure will not be replaced by AI, but real estate professionals who adapt to AI will replace the real estate professionals who don't adapt to AI. That's surely going to happen. So marketing agencies only need to, skill up. Marketing employees of developers, marketing departments need to skill up. Else, the people who have skilled up to AI, they will eat the jobs of the people who haven't. So that's going to happen. It's not that, a platform is going to eat away jobs. That's not happening. Having said that, adaptation is very slow, especially in real estate. Let's see all the other industries, all the other products that we use, all the apps that we use. you get hyper-personalization on anything that you even think of today. You know, you don't need to click, you don't need to write, you don't need to Google search, you just think about that. And you get hyper-personalized marketing campaigns following you till the time you actually get impressed and pay. You know, that's what's happening in all the other industries. Real estate, it's a little slower on adaptation. I'll be very honest, I feel that, you know, it's my personal opinion, that one is the mindset of a developer. The mindset is still very intuitive. And I think at least the promoter-led developers like that. You know, they feel it's my baby, I know the best for my product, for my project. I don't need a suggestion by an artificial intelligence, you know. So one is the mindset. Second is the inhibition. मैं पहले क्यों try करूं? Whether will it succeed, will it give me the ROI? I don't know. So inhibition to implement. Apprehension. I don't want to, you know, go beyond my traditional plus now digitized systems. Plus the question that he feels कि इससे return मिलेगा कि नहीं. Let's understand. AI cuts down time. You know, if you have 1,000 leads and even if you put 10 telecallers on it, they will take 10 days. And after that also what will you get is an Excel sheet. If you put AI on the job, you can actually filter those leads in 2 hours. And you get a qualified set of leads in 2 hours. You are ahead of the market. You get 2 more weekends to attack the customer to come to your site before your competitor does. Return on investment is never a question. Cost is never a question. But, you know, understanding all this and absorbing all this in real estate is, I think, taking some time, like, you know, absorbing any new thing in real estate. So I think it's taking some time, but I think, yes, it will become a norm, but, you know, with some time more.
Great, thank you very much. I think it was a great session. Clear takeaways were, I think AI is going to be the way of running the marketing. It's also important for people to skill internally as well. The way it can segment, the way it can look at the entire journey, speed, personalization, I think great. And the most important thing is he talked about some proof points as well. I think that's the way the adoption is also going to kind of increase significantly. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Can I please request bigger round of applause for our panelists, please? I'll request all of you to please kindly wait on stage. I'm going to be calling Subhadra Singh from Team Cirrus to please kindly come up on stage and give the token of appreciation. A big round of applause for Subhadra as well, please, ladies and gentlemen, if I may request. Thank you so much. First, we'll be doing a group photo of all the speakers together, and then I'll request Subhadra to join in the frame as well in the second one. You know, there's a saying that clapping is good for the heart, so you can actually enhance it. Thank you. Yeah, I won't do it for you, right? You got to do it yourself. Sir has an important point. So we'll first do a photo of the 4 speakers together, and then I'll request you to join in the frame. Thank you so much. A very, very, very fascinating panel this was. This was all about from manual production to automated campaigns, turning assets into stories with AI-enabled content at scale. Thank you so much. You can join the frame as well for the second group photograph. Thank you. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We truly value your presence over here, and we look forward to having all of you the next time you're here. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'll request all of you to please remove the chairs from the stage first, please, as we're gearing up for a fireside chat. And I have some important pointers to share regarding the fireside chat, so I would request everybody's complete attention, and that can only happen when I take the center stage. And that can only be possible once all the chairs are removed from there. So I'll quickly give the hotel staff that time. Can I please have a bit of appreciation and clapping for him as well, working very hard to get the chairs off the stage. Thank you so much, brother. You can remove this one as well quickly. In the best interest of time, we'll move forward. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be very, very fascinating indeed. A lot of conversations are happening around AI. AI is going to be doing this, AI is going to be doing that. Of course, people, as Indians, we tend to primarily talk about the positives, but of course, everything has two sides to the coin, right? So if there's a good side, there are also sides which we are not really talking about a lot. Maybe the controversial aspects, the bubble, whether AI is actually a bubble or not. What are the fears involved around AI, right? What if I'm adopting AI and it doesn't work out the way I want to? What are the challenges that can possibly eventually conquer your mindset, right? So these are certain aspects that we are going to be discussing in this fireside chat, because we truly believe that a fireside chat is always full of fire. And I can see the smiles on everyone's face, which validates that fact, that fireside chat is always full of fire. So you want those controversial aspects to be talked about, especially in a beautiful knowledge forum like this. So that is exactly what we are going to be discussing right now. This is going to be a beautiful conversation. We have two experts on that topic. I'm going to be first introducing, the person who doesn't really need an introduction. May I please have a big round of applause for Mr. Sid Mitra, who's the COO of Cirrus.ai. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, to join him for this fireside chat, which is going to be, like I promised you, full of fire. Our gentleman is going to be joining us virtually. We thank him for taking out time for this. I have something to say about him. He's a technologist and an academician. Having served 25 years in technology product platforms and AI businesses, he has been an absolute pioneer for new age tech and AI businesses. Having led large portfolios for Infosys, Accenture, and SAP, he keeps a great balance between building and monetizing as well. In India particularly, he was part of building Reliance Jio, Tata Click, Tata Digital, and Tata Neu. And in the recent past, he leads the global services P&L for Resolve AI and is their CDO as well. Resolve also is listed on NASDAQ in the year 2024. And of course, he was the founder, CEO of Cirrus.ai, and this forum was something that he was always very, very excited. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Sid Mitra already over here. I just talked about the one and only Mr. Souvik Banerjee, who's the President, Enterprise Services and CDO, Resolve AI. He's going to be joining us virtually. And the session might be a blend of both virtual and in person, but the conversation is always going to be completely enriching. And can we do like a quick tech check if we have Mr. Souvik over there virtually?
Check. Yeah, I'm good.
Can you hear us, sir? Mr. Souvik, can you hear us, sir?
Yes.
Perfect.
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you as well. So, Sid, sir, I'll pass it to you from here.
Hi, Souvik. I can't look at you from this way because, that will be facing my back. So I have to look in front of the cameras as if I'm looking at you. I hope that's not the case for you. You can see me.
I can absolutely see you, Sid, and many congratulations to you and Pratapda for making this forum a reality. So over to you.
Happy to see you, Souvik. I think the introductions are already done, so I'm not getting into the introductions. We have, of course, told the audience what you have been doing over the last 25 years or even more of your career. Let me start off by saying that a fireside chat is basically an informal chat where we engage in something which is not very formal. In this case, when we are discussing real estate and AI in real estate, I want to take this opportunity to talk about things which are not that pleasant. Good? Okay. Not that pleasant in the sense that, there are ifs and bits of doubts and clarifications and questions that people have when it comes to AI, because it's a ever-evolving world, right? And like the way humans hallucinate, AI models and pre-trained transformers also hallucinate. And people usually would hallucinate if there are connection issues with respect to two neurons or more than two neurons in the brain, right? So that's where even AI can also kind of backfire at times. So with that in mind, and with the perspective of getting into an informal conversation, let's start this fireside chat with Shavik. Shavik, my first nudge to you.
Sid, it would be better if you come a little on one of the sides.
I've been asked to stand in the middle. Okay, I will.
That's perfect.
Okay. So the first nudge maybe for this interactive discussion, Shavik, is around the perspective that AI is an overvalued investment, and you are now actively a very active investor when it comes to AI. I know for a fact that for Resolve you are investing in a lot of AI-driven products, services. Typically in developed economies, if you go and see most of the AI companies sprouting out of Silicon Valley, etc., they would typically have a top line of 50 million or 100 million. But if you actually go back and see the valuation, their price per free cash flow ratio would be just over the top, right? A company with a 50 million top line has a 100 billion or close to that sort of a valuation, which means obviously they are very highly valued, but it doesn't really have a resonance with respect to the money that they're making, right? On the other side, if you actually go and ask their leaders, they would say that they're working on solving a good percentage of the total value created in the world, which is typically calculated as 100 trillion, out of which 50% is services, which is 50 trillion. And if you go and ask them, they'll say that I'm typically working on solving and automating problems, which is around the range of 10% of that 50 trillion, which is around 5 to 7 trillion, right? So and they'll say that whatever infrastructure, whatever GPU cost and services cost that they're incurring is against solving and completely automating through agent and all of that to solve that 5 to 7 trillion services cost. So it's a bipolar perspective. Valuation, which is over the roof on one hand, on one pole, and the other pole is obviously talking about this aspect of creating this huge value through AI. What is your take, Shavik, when it comes to this bipolar perspective, at least in terms of valuation game, when it comes to AI products as well as services?
No, good question, Sid. Firstly, let me just give you the backdrop to this noise which is across the world today. If you go back 25 years back, when the internet boom happened, there was overvalued .com businesses. And there was overvalued bipolarism, which a lot of the investors worked on, and a lot of the .coms came through that. And one of them was Amazon on one side, and one of them was Boohoo on one side, which completely busted. So we're going through that phase, and of course, Gen AI and generative AI in audio, video, text, and with the public-facing platforms like ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude, and Anthropic, which the end user is using, they have actually boosted it. But AI was always valued. From machine building robots to automotive industry using hardcore AI the last 30 years, with every space industry, with every space thrust, AI was always there. Now, let me just break down. Classical AI is pure classical AI, which is extremely valued, extremely profitable. Example, Palantir. Example, those are the ones who had the heart to list in stock exchanges and build the public companies in public money. What Gen AI has done is made it bipolar. People think the world of ChatGPT is only AI. That's actually 12% of the whole world of AI, the public-facing LLM. So let me just break the concept that audio, video generation, text generation, response generation, 800 million users of OpenAI and about 200 plus million users of Grok, Gemini, Perplexity. That makes it 1 billion users, which actually are the users using free or paid. The challenge is that's just one part of AI. if that part of AI is bipolar today, and it will normalize. If I'm sitting out here in London and seeing the Western European investors and the startups coming out of Western Europe and the startups coming out of the Valley, because I listed our organization in NASDAQ, and what we have seen is when you are profitable and EBITDA positive, that means AI is getting adopted. Now, the observation is, it is not a hype, Sid. AI is verticalized. That's why we have a real estate AI world which is starting to get created thanks to Cirrus.ai and many other organizations. Generative AI will become vertical. So manufacturing and auto will have their own AI. CPG and pharma will have their own Gen AI capabilities. And then you will have retail and hospitality and aviation will have. So it is that phase. It's a transcendence. It's transitioning from that phase. It's not hype. It is not hype. It is just a transition phase. And my personal opinion is it will go through a mindless amount of valuation for some organization. But at the end of the day, Sid, you run a P&L. I know I run a P&L. At the end of the day, if you can't make AI in a PaaS or a SaaS or a D2C subscription model, you will never make money. The reason why OpenAI is historically and currently in the loss making is because it's a public utility which doesn't get paid. How many people are paying for that subscription? So once you make AI into a software as a service or platform as a service or data as a service or subscription as a service, it will start to happen. So that's why the smarter ones are actually having genuine valuation and trying to make money and becoming EBITDA positive. And there is a lot of hype around the marketing of some AI companies, which is indexing on investment and are not able to sell their platforms accordingly, are the noise creation. But Sid, it's going to settle down. It's not a hype. It is reality, to be honest.
Okay, so fair enough. What I'm hearing is if you can create value, valuation is not a problem, even if it is slightly bloated up at this point in time. It creates value over a period of time and it has reciprocative macro effects. Let's move on. Again, a very not controversial, something which everyone kind of talks about very openly, but then of course we don't get a lot of chance to slice and dice that perspective of AI, which is this factor of fearfulness when it comes to this transformation in AI. Shavik, if you go back to all sorts of transformations that we have seen in the past, be it last decade of China, be it 80s of Japan, be it when we got hold of electricity, automobiles, production, automation. Everywhere we have seen a lot of positivity. People have embraced technology, innovation with a lot of positivity, thinking of value creation in the best possible way. However, with respect to AI, there is a dichotomy. People have been very fearful about the adoption of AI, not knowing how to control it. There have been loads and loads of perspectives around whether AI can be controlled, whether AI can dupe customers. There have been laws which are not really very matured because people hardly understand where the end game is. Surveys across the world when it comes to at least the transformer solutions and the agentic solutions say that only 35% of the respondents are positive and not fearful. The rest 65% are actually quite fearful about what AI can give us, right? In spite of the fact that there is a lot of investments happening in AI, valuations are, as I said, over the roof, etc. What do you think about this aspect of AI being ethical? People talk about that security governance on top of whatever we have been discussing over the last 1 hour over here. What do you think about? What is your take about ethical AI?
Yeah, so I think I think the fear is genuine. Fear is genuine across the world. The fear is let me call it this way. Fear, if the fear wasn't there, the power of this technology wouldn't exist. So the fear is genuine to the people who are unaware of how the tooling of AI works. Let me give you an analogy. We were all scared at one point in time, pre-COVID and post-COVID, about data protection, about our own data. And, the South California law came into the picture. In UK, GDPR was fully rolled out. And in India, our data privacy bill got rolled out as well. It took a lot of time, but it got rolled out. So what it gave was a lot of confidence to the end user saying that, my data is protected. But here's the thing. We gave all these tools to the end users who are our app economy, who are our mobile phone economy. But the best security still comes when somebody logs into Facebook at 1:30, when a group of youngsters are clubbing and their security is, I am actually checked into this location, which is a contrary view of actually ensuring that giving my data away for my own security actually is the way it works. So I think that a lot of normalization happens when people start using the technology. AI's fear is broken into two parts. The governance doesn't exist because we don't know the power of overall public-facing AI models. We don't know the power of video generation. It can go borderline. The audio, text, and filmmaking is borderline. But the fear of jobs is very different than the fear of usage. I am able to replicate my grandfather and my grandmom through an app is happiness. I am able to replicate my kids' static imagery or my own imagery into an ability to make something beautiful is happiness. There's also filmmaking, which is ongoing. And if you see the amount of AI films which are coming across the whole world and being called as AI, there's a lot of dopamine involved. But the scare factor comes when it comes to AI and blockchain and the way we are dealing with AI and way we are letting the AI go without governance. So a lot of ethical morality comes into the picture, but human beings have to have that morality to implement a morality. If I have a shady moral with a set of AI engineers, they will guard and govern and put a very different kind of ethics to guardrail these LLMs. So I think at a very country level, there has to be a governance and ethical policies. At a state level, because India is a diversity on various language, fabric, food. At a state level, we should have ethical governance and policies on AI of usage. And at an enterprise level, as a business-to-business platform level, we should have a governance of ethics. I think, Sid, in the next few years, it will get democratized across the planet. I mean, it will probably start from somewhere in India, China, US, where biggest AI companies are, and then it will consolidate accordingly.
Okay, so governance definitions, security definitions are the key, if I understand, Shavik, what you were referring to. Fair enough. Let's get into the AI bubble syndrome and the discussion.
No, I wanted to ask that question to you, actually.
Okay.
See, you are running a very interesting organization, which we built it with a lot of hard work and sweat. And India is going through a mindset shift of adopting AI. India still doesn't have its LLM. India probably will have 30 different LLMs for 30 different cultures and states, is what my observation is. Do you think, firstly answer this question for me, do you think AI is a bubble when it comes to North America, South America, and Western Europe? And do you think AI's adoption is a bubble in India? And the bubble can be, you can answer the bubble in two ways. Forget the valuation and the money for the time being. Every AI company has got funding. The adoption and usage of AI is a bubble on it. And you can give me that answer in whatever capacity and whatever beautiful way you always articulate.
Well, first of all, I don't think bubble is necessarily a bad definition, because we have seen bubbles in the past which had a lot of macro diversified effect in the economy. So it's not necessarily bad. When I look at any verticalized bubble from a macroeconomical perspective, I kind of try and divide across four buckets, and I see whether at least 3 out of those 4 or 2 out of those 4 are getting ticked. AI leading to overvaluation, that's a green tick. Yes, of course. As you said, overvaluation is not necessarily a big negative. We can live with this because it's ultimately creating value. So I'll live with that. Over investment, again, it's a green tick. If you see US, because you asked the question across multiple geographies, right? At least if I follow developed economies, more than 50% of US markets are invested in equities for the first time ever. And if you do a clustered analysis of those investments, you'll see investments predominantly on AI. So there is definitely over investment in AI. So that's the second tick. Over ownership, again a green tick. Everybody wants to own AI companies. So that's also a huge trend. And there is, of course, this element of using leverage capital for investment. You spoke about Europe, you spoke about US. If you see companies like Microsoft, Meta, all of them are putting huge amount of leverage for AI investments. In fact, if you go back a year or so, I think in what Sundar Pichai said in an interview was, the risk is whether I'm investing wholeheartedly in AI or not. The real risk is if I don't invest at all in AI, which means that at any cost, they are using a lot of leverage capital and investing in AI. So that means using leverage, the answer is also a tick, right? So it's a bubble for sure. Now, my perspective, Shouvik, over here is, and that's slightly a false positive here, but then this is a bubble which ideally should not come down and create a big thud as a result. It should obviously ease out over a period of time. For instance, 2 years back, if I were to go back and see tech investments, tech capex versus GDP, it was 0, and now it's close to 40% in developed economies, which means that it's very highly correlated in today's date, and AI is giving a lot of value. If it meanders down to a good 20% over a period of time, it doesn't come down directly and have that third effect, I would say it's a good bubble to have, because it has to go through this elemental perspective of this huge change which is happening, and AI is still at its infancy. So I think my rational brain says it's a bubble, but it also says that it's a scientific bubble, and it's a bubble which is a good bubble. I don't know whether I think
it's a very good way to put that. And I want to add last point on this one is, to serve the whole planet with AI, we need grids and GPUs, but what do they need more? They need water. And I think the planet has enough water, and we have cracked salinization. So AI is going to take over and have a value and impact on 7.5, 8 billion people in no time. There is not going to be shortage of GPU chips. There's not going to be shortage of water for sure, and there's never going to be a shortage of salinization process. So AI is going to become like electricity, as Andrew Ng always says. So I think we both are saying the same thing.
I have some rapid fire round, this being a fireside chat. I don't know what's the correlation. But I've just randomly picked up 10 questions, Shouvik. I'll try and shoot out. Let's see whether it is something which you can kind of, get back to. First question, will AI be a job displacer or creator? What do you think?
AI will be a job displacer, a creator, and a huge wealth creator for every human being who uses AI.
Wealth creator, okay. Second, will AI agents replace humans ever?
Yes, it is already starting to. It will replace more and more, but it will create more human cross-functional jobs, because a lot more agents required to be created, and it's not going to come out of thin air. An agent can create an agent, but without thin air and scope, it cannot create an agent. So agents will replace humans, but the humans will replace the scope for creating these agents. So it's cyclic.
That's going to be scary whenever it happens. Small language model or large language model? And why do you say so?
Small language model will become relevant to Southeast Asia and Asia, which has got a $6 trillion economy in the making. And large language models will become the frontiers of Western Europe and North America. And a combination of both hybrid models will be used in Africa and South America.
Okay. This one is an interesting one. I picked it up from my current research. Can MCP host eliminate the need of native applications? I mean, are we very far off from a world where we will just have one MCP host as an app in our mobile phone, eliminating all the applications? What do you think?
It won't. It won't. I'll tell you why. I deal with fashion and retail and high-end luxury. The brands which have got depleting inventory, they will use MCP to deploy their inventory. Example H&M, example Zara, example Westside, example Zudio. Fast-moving inventory will get deployed in Grok, Perplexity, and ChatGPT. High-end fashion, new fashion launches, winter launches, electronic new phones, they will never go. That's the reason Amazon never failed, exhaustively failed to warm up the brands. The GPTs of the world will follow the same truth. You build a brand with a lot of care and hard work. You don't let that be accessible across GPTs.
Maybe MCP host won't be able to replace the user experience.
Yeah, but it's a validation. It's a gate.
Yeah. Maybe in terms of utilities it might be, but in terms of the overall displacement of a particular service as heavy as a native application with a certain amount of user experience might
It
not.
actually will be the other way around, Sid, which we are seeing. It will be them interrogating your catalog, and the brand will say, I only want to expose so much.
Okay, the next one is a really, a big question. Can real estate see the first GPT?
Yes, it needs to. If India is going to go across and build 800 billion to $1 trillion urbanization market by 2030, as per BCG and other consulting firms, the answer is yes. It needs its own GPT. It needs its own square feet valuing per country. It requires its own valuation of raw materials. It requires its own collaterals and documentation. Real estate will have its own GPT, and it will be nothing like, no one will be able to compare it with that, because real estate is going to still become the best tool to have global urbanization. It needs its own GPT, and it's just going to happen. And I seriously hope that you and the team with Pratap's support are in a mind space to build it.
Okay, that's an interesting comment. We are certainly taking the first step there. Can real estate pre-sales be completely autonomous? I mean, can...
It will not exist. At 2 a.m., I want to explore and talk about a lead in the far corners of Tiruchirappalli or Baner or Kothur or Malda for a real estate property which I want to buy. At 2 a.m., where is my real estate agent? Where is my call center? But I have a human-like agent talking to me who will basically give me every prospect and get a site booking done.
Okay. I think the next question has been discussed, but still let me shoot. Can AI be completely ethical in the near future?
If you have ethical human beings governing it.
Okay. Well, can AI build content completely end-to-end for real estate, which means, getting content for marketing, getting content for customer experience end-to-end, whatever you think of, can AI actually build content?
I think AI has the capability to build the near possible content and experience platform. But I think your next world, in the next 2 years, what you're seeing 3D and 4D will become holographic. And a holographic view of a real estate, giving to a family of 4 or giving to a young working professional, is something the world is moving to. I think that's the tech play which will pivot the real estate industry.
Yeah, I mean, content is highly regulated in real estate. So, the transfer models...
and the real estate industry is going to absorb and adopt and change. That's the only industry which absorbs, adopts, and change as the world changes.
Okay, the last question. Can there be a world with only one agent doing varied jobs, like a coarse-grained agent which ultimately talks to various fine-grained agent?
I think it is going to be utopia to have that, to be honest, because our world is so disparate. We are so different. But the beauty is we might have an agent of affection. Amidst this robotic, monotonous tech, you want an agent with as much empathy, as much sympathy, as much warmth, and universally trying to make the world a better place. That will be a utopia in the making, but you wouldn't want one agent because you're giving too much power in one agent's arms. It's like making Mr. Smith from Matrix the all superpower. I would rather be an architect or the oracle.
Cool. I think we are done with this. We just wanted to pick your brains, Shovik. Thanks a lot for participating in this fireside chat. I had more and more such topics to discuss with you, but I think we have limited time today. But it was absolutely fantastic to have you, thank you so much to take time off from your busy schedule and chat with us on these intriguing, controversial and very interesting facts. Thank you.
I also want to thank you, Pratap, Cash, and the whole team of Cirrus, and I wish you all the best. And you always have someone thousands and thousands of miles away as your cheerleader. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shovik sir, for joining us. Thank you so much, sir, for doing this. Can I have a big round of applause for Shovik sir and Sid sir once again? Thank you so much, and I'll request you to take your seat now in the meantime as we gear up for the final panel discussion of this very, very spectacular evening. I'm going to be requesting for 4 chairs on stage, please, so that we can move forward with the final panel discussion. These are conversations that you feel like, you want to keep hearing on and on, but unfortunately, there are only 24 hours in a day, and you have to limit the conversations based on certain timelines, so that's always a challenge, but that's how it is. This is going to be the last panel discussion, and then we move forward with networking and dinner. Thank you so much. Can we have the table as well on stage with the water bottles? I believe it should be like an half U or something, inverted U. Is it fine? A humble request to my esteemed audience over here, if I can request all of you to take your seats. This is the last panel discussion. We want to be completely respectful to all our speakers. So if I may please request all my esteemed audience to take their seats, especially the chairs over here at the front. Can we please occupy them first? Can we please occupy some of the chairs over here at the front first? If we have people over there at the back. Thank you. This is going to be the final panel discussion. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves. This is going to be a very, very engaging panel discussion. The topic is autonomous real estate organizations, how multi-agent systems run marketing, pre-sales, sales, and CRM all together. I'll repeat the topic for everybody once again. This is going to be about autonomous real estate organizations, how multi-agent systems run marketing, pre-sales, sales, and CRM all together. Like always, I'm going to be first introducing our moderator, and then I'm going to be requesting our speakers to join me over here on stage. My moderator for the session is Mr. Dhruv Lal, MD and partner, BCG. A big round of applause for Mr. Dhruv, please, as he makes his way to the stage. Thank you so much. Request you to take the moderator's chair. I'll be now requesting my speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for Mr. Kripaduti Sarkar, Group CIO, Ambuja Neotia Group. Thank you so much, sir. Always such a pleasure to see you and have you around. Thank you. This is your mic. This is your mic. Thank you so much for passing this. My next speaker over here is Mr. Nihar Thanawala, CIO, TCG Real Estate. A big round of applause for Mr. Nihar as well, please. Thank you so much. Mumbai, I believe you can do a lot better in terms of clapping and appreciation. Can you clap a little louder? Thank you. My next speaker is Mr. Rajendran P, CSMO, Shri Naman Group. A big round of applause for Mr. Rajendran, sir, as well, please. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Thank you so much. Very, very, very fascinating panel, a very interesting conversation. I believe it's completely not justified to limit it to just 20 minutes, but in the best interest of time, we have to do it exactly that. So request you to adhere to the time, sir, and over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, and hope everyone has enjoyed the conversation so far. So I know this is the last session, and we are between, all of you and dinner. So I promise that I will keep it efficient and on time. So while this is the last session, but we are also going to focus on, one very important topic on how will agentic AI really transform and add value to one of the most important functions in the entire real estate value chain, which is sales and CRM. If typically, when I look at sales and CRM across developers, I see two major challenges. First, sales and CRM is a function that works in a very siloed manner. So various teams within sales and CRM, whether it be pre-sales, marketing, sales, RMs, the channel partners that are out there, the CRM professional, all tend to work, very separately with very little information and context getting shared across all of these parts. The second big area which I've seen as a challenge is that the team members often spend their time on very low value adding activities. Either they are logging tickets, or they are sharing or resharing very mundane information with customers or with channel partners, or are just following up on something that they have raised or a query that they have sent to another team. The whole multi-agent system is a really, really powerful concept. As I see and read more and see some of the pilots taking shape, I think this is a concept that can really transform on how sales and CRM really works. And to discuss this whole transformation journey on how this will unfold, I have a great panel with me here. And without any ado, let me directly jump into my first question. And my first question would be to Mr. Sarkar, that from a CIO's perspective, can you give me and also the audience a sense of how does a multi-agent architecture actually going to look like, right, in a sales and a CRM function? Where do you see it adding the most value? And which are the areas that will get really transformed in the coming years?
Good evening. So coming to answer directly, your very pertinent questions, what is multi-agent first? So it is multi-agent, it means it works like a workflow based on multiple interactions with the customers and multiple perspective with the customers. It can continue as an autonomous agent and continue the conversations, or the mode of conversations can continue till the task is completed. Or it is assigned to a human agent. Now, why multi-level is required? Because we are talking, prior to AI, we are talking about the omni-channel conversation with the customer. The communication may come from the SMS, WhatsApp, email, teleconversations, WhatsApp call. From any channels, a customer may reach to the organization for any inquiry. Even we are scribing with the social media as well. So they can connect it with the social media as a lead as well. So we have to respond from each or either channel with a uniformity and standardization. That's where the multi-agent gives the first benefit to the organizations, that I standardize the conversations to every customer, and it is not timely bound. It can serve 24/7, and it does not depend on the human mood of the human agent and how to respond to the customer. It is responding at the same tone, empathy in the morning. It can certainly with the same tone in the midnight as well. So with this context, so multi-agents conversations with my customers, certainly we are involving it during the pre-sales, marketing campaign, pre-sales, getting a lead, nurturing the lead, making him customer, and finally in the post after sales service also we are engaging this multi-agents, and we are actually putting the all human agents to respond very specific and certain questions which this multi-agent cannot give. I'm giving an example that my entire real estate is autonomous with this agent from the Salesforce called Einstein Bot and Agent Force. We are only giving our human agent involved whenever a question like how the distance from the pet clinic. Is pet is allowed in the park, in the park with the human. So those are the questions which very specific to a particular customer need, where we are shifting that call to the sales agent. Otherwise, most of the cases, almost 88% of the cases, it is autonomous. Thank you.
Great. Firstly, thank you for demystifying what does a multi-agent AI architecture actually look like. I think my second question, Neha, moving to you, would be as a seasoned investment professional, you've looked at countless investment proposals, right? Whether it be developers, whether it be assets. Where do you really see the changes taking place? Are there certain segments within the market that have maybe picked up, have adopted the agentic AI much better than others? Are there certain players, certain segments that are actually ahead of the curve than others? It would be great to get a perspective on that.
Thanks, thank you. So I think there are two kinds of developers, right? One is, I would say, the small to medium size who are probably more recently into the business, right? So maybe they're younger developers. And then you have the larger players. I think the adoption, I have observed quite to the contrary, that the adoption for smaller players is a lot more for 2-3 reasons, because I think the leadership is far more savvy with technology, and they use it in a far more productive way and in a holistic way. I think the larger players also have a large organization to carry. It's a lot of change to bring about in the way you're conducting business, cultural implication. So I think they are adopting, but they are doing it a little differently. Secondly, the other difference that I've seen is where it's being used. So far, most of the technology that has come in real estate has been essentially to aid sales. And I think the primary reason for that is the fuel of the real estate business. That's what generates cash flow. So everything that has come to generate cash flow. Today, people are talking about creating efficiencies beyond sales also. So there's another product which I came to know about, wherein if you submit your plans, right, to them, the AI product will create efficiency in terms of how much more area you can utilize, given a set of development rules in that region. And if I'm not wrong, across multiple clients, they've generated about 35% more area than the developer had made with their architects on their plans. And the reason for that is they used technology and AI in a way that even if 5 people come together, essentially you redefine what variables are there. So technology on one hand is looking at all the variables and creating an optimum solution. But when you don't know that when there are unlimited variables, and now you have to come with a solution, there's no human being who can do that. And that's how they do it. So I think these kind of efficiencies that are coming in, right, I think we're in the beginning. And frankly, if you ask most of the developers, even they don't know what benefit lies ahead. Half the people are just adopting because they know they have to adopt. And the only way you can get from 10 to 100 is if you go from 1 to 10. So I think everybody's in the 1 to 10 journey, looking at the low-hanging fruit, adopting where they understand, in a hope that when this goes to a certain level, they can upscale. So I think that's generally how I at least see the trend, across different developers.
On a lighter note, I think the example that you gave on the sales area maximization really resonates with me. That's an exact problem I'm right now solving at a developer. So maybe I'll take that reference of this software from you and approach them and see how we can collaborate.
The guy who was he was here, he's left. So they have generated, they claim on their website, savings of profits of about $20 billion US across a certain number of projects. So that's the value creation you're talking about, right?
Yeah, no, I think the potential is endless. So, Mr. Rajendran, coming to you, I think I have a two-part question, right? I think first, as we think of this new multi-agent AI architecture driving sales and CRM, how do you see the customer interaction, the day-to-day customer interaction really changing? And the second part to my question is that, see, all real estate developers, whatever the segment that they might be targeting, are in high-value transactions, right? We are not selling something which is very small ticket or can be just brought off the shelf. So is there a risk that agentic AI might make this entire process a bit impersonal? Is that a risk to guard against?
Sure, thank you. Thank you, first of all, Cirrus, to get me on board on this platform, because I was not I was not sure whether I can contribute to this panel coming from a functional side, having CIOs and AI experts on this. But the very fact that I went through the topic and I understand that, I think like AI is learning, I think the tech companies are also learning from the function. So from whatever 20 years of real estate experience I have, what I can say is that it is going to impact in a big way. And how is it going to impact? For example, today, the biggest problem today we have, even though a lot of automation has happened, is the first thing when the lead arrives. All the leads, like there was a research, every lead needs to be called within 2 minutes, else you have lost, right? Today, physically, it's not possible for any of the real estate companies to have so many agents, physical agents, calling those leads when I have a digital campaign on. But at the same time, if I have an agentic AI, which is a calling agent, within the first second, all my leads, at least the number of agentic AIs calling can be done. Within a few seconds, all of them have been called, right? And this was like unthinkable. Unthinkable, like even when automation has happened, even if I had a lead flow, even if I had all the CRM solutions, but still physically people needed to call. That has been taken care now. Second thing is the qualification. Today, the qualification happens as soon as the calls have happened, the auto summarization, the call scoring, the lead qualification is immediately happening, right? And that is giving a boost, because when the lead is now flowing to my agent, the physical agent, it's a pre-qualified lead with all the parameters which he was supposed to ask or the telecaller was supposed to ask. And as he rightly said, depends on the telecaller's mood, that whether all the questions have been asked or not, whether all the variables have been covered or not, we don't know. But in this case now, with the agentic AI, with the qualification agent, like I'm using every stage what agent could have been used. One would be a calling agent, one be a qualification agent. Now when the person is getting that lead, he is ready. At the same time, there is a agent which is also providing him the information which might be right for this set of customers. Now that is a kind of a profiling agent, or you can say a context agent, which would have done it, saying that, okay, this is the kind of customer lead which has come to you, and these are the things that he's looking forward to. So he's already ready. So it is not that he's going into a meeting or a call uninformed, which usually happens. You usually ended up having some 3 or 4 information bases which you were getting. But all of this is now leading him to a very informed salesperson. At the same time, today what is also happening is, I do multiple campaigns. I may do a Diwali campaign, I may do a Dussehra campaign, I may do a launch campaign. All these leads sit in my repository somewhere, okay? But what happens is, every time you go and tell the salesperson, he will say, lead nahi hai. Kisko baat karu? Whom do I talk to? Now in this particular system, if the lead is in the system, I can have an agent which will scan the entire system and see which leads were never contacted, which leads were like dropped off after a point of calling or some reason. All these things are possible today, like for example, unqualified leads, or there are leads which have special mentions which can be then called on at a particular stage. So without spending a rupee more from the existing set of leads, I can do another campaign. So that is another possibility. Also what is happening is that it will, like lead leakage will stop. With this kind of a thing, there will be a lead leakage which I can stop. So at every stage you can see that there is, like even site visits. Today, for example, if site visit follow-ups have to be done, so I will not miss a single follow-up now if there is an agentic AI which is doing my follow-up, right? Today what happens is, you miss 1 or 2 follow-ups, then it starts piling up. Then you don't know what to do with it, right? Your agents are faltering, you take a review, you are suffering the anathema of person-driven thing, right? It's not a system-driven thing. Now agent can, like agentic AI, I can have an agent do all the follow-ups, do confirmation of site visits. So what is happening, as he rightly said, all the routine jobs which doesn't require a person to do it, or you can say repetitive jobs, are taken away. And that is where the agents are getting replaced. But in the fireside chat also you saw whether it will completely replace the people, no. Because in real estate, we say it's a touch and feel product, right? Like a car, like a real estate. You want to feel the product. You want to talk to somebody human to do the interaction. So that final bit, as we say, the salesperson is bringing the empathy. The salesperson is helping him decide. An agentic AI may not help him decide. It may give a lot of information. But that decision making, like we say, everybody wants somebody to confirm that their decision is rational. That agentic AI cannot do. That is the salesperson sitting across the table, giving him the confidence that you are taking the right decision. Don't worry. Your investment is safe. Right? So that is the empathy part. So if you see today, all the repetitive jobs, calling, qualifying, getting people to site visit, all of that can be taken away. But you will still have jobs, like even in marketing, for example, as we saw the earlier panel, marketing is driven by empathy and understanding of the customer. Now, AI can throw up campaigns which have been done in the past, from the past learning. But if you need an innovation in marketing, it has to come from people. So that will not get replaced.
No, I think great point. I think just to summarize, I think what you are saying is that a lot of these agents will free up bandwidth of your
Yes.
agents to focus on more value-adding work, either driving sales or customer experience and doing away with repetitive
Like in another
stuff.
panel I was hearing, 70% of the time of a salesperson goes in an admin job or repetitive job. Only 30% he is using for sales, actual closing. And we hire salespeople for closing. So they should do that more often than doing the
Fantastic
repetitive.
thought. I have one more question each for you, but I would just request you to maybe keep it brief, given the time constraints. I think, Mr. Sarkar, for you, so we talked about the architecture part of it, but there is also companies need to get ready from a perspective of putting in the right foundational technology and capabilities as well. As you know, a lot of the companies that are getting into this journey now, what are some of those foundational technology and capabilities that they need to think of?
First thing is data. You have to have data structured or unstructured, but certainly it has to have in a right proper place so that it can be, the AI can be trained on that data. That is one. And second is the use case. Everybody in even prior panel also, everybody is saying that ROI can be only achieved if you have, finite use cases and finite result KPIs attached to it. Otherwise, certainly you can invest a hell lot of money, but certainly it is, you do AI, but you are not also sure that what for I'm doing the AI. That's two. And second, even before somebody in the first panel said that digital transformation is the base of AI, because AI has to work on the integrated platform where my ERP, be it SAP or Oracle, or my CRM, be it Salesforce or any native CRM, or my HRMS or my marketing piece, everything has to have a integrated or not integrated, rather it has to have a standardized data structure in place so that digital transformation in the organization already started. If that is not there, you cannot kick off the AI piece on it. So I just summarize with my one of the shairi that I have written on AI. So whenever we start AI, we should think of शायरी, वो मुझे साथ तो रखा है, मेरा दिल रखा है, दिल पे कहाँ रखा है? So this दिल पे कहाँ रखा है part is you have to complete with your digital transformation, you have to complete with your AI use cases, and finally you can jump into the AI. Otherwise your AI investment will go into vain. Thank you.
No, really profound. Nihar, for you, my question is that as you evaluate new opportunities, right, these are very critical decisions, you know, large sums of money are generally riding on it. Do you see agentic AI playing a part in this, in your own function, in terms of how it transforms and supports?
See, I think I'll go with something that he said, right? For any kind of new opportunity or business development, for AI to really be effective, you firstly need very good data. I think in general, from a business development perspective or looking at opportunity perspective, so far, I don't think at least that I've experienced or heard anybody say that agentic AI is giving some benefit. I think in bits and pieces, it helps
in evaluating, getting some support in terms of brainstorming or thinking how, about how you're thinking about an asset or what can happen in a particular way. But in its real sense, the way it has entered other functions, where there is scale, data, and not so much of on-ground information, right, which is sitting in fragmented pockets, all over the market. This case is, I think it's still not come to that level yet.
No, I think an interesting use case for Cirrus to pick up then. Absolutely. So, Mr. Rajendra, and a bit loaded question for you. So, we tend to forget some of the human aspects related to AI adoption, right? So, when it comes to CRM professionals, they are not, let's say, the highest paid, workers out there. How do you get them ready? How do you upskill them to really take, the maximum advantage or the business value from some of these solutions that you are putting in?
Okay. So as I mentioned a little while earlier also, it is our job as leaders to see that the team is freed from the mundane, repetitive jobs which they are doing every day. For example, sending reminder letters, sending documents, sending allotment letters. These are all can be automated, have been automated, and we should go on increasing that. Like even if you have the, for example, FAQs, which are onboarded through an agent which can reply to some of the mundane queries and relieve the team to handle grievances, for example. Okay, handle particular cases. For example, there is a delayed position, there is a leakage issue or a product issue in the thing. This requires the CRM team to be physically present, talk to the customer, give them the empathy, which an agentic AI cannot do. So I would say that as leaders, instead of making sure that the team is working 8 hours and spending that time to do things and why are we not doing it, it is our job to actually create an infrastructure where they are relieved to do non-mundane or non-repetitive jobs, which will add value to them and to the organization.
Absolutely. No, thanks for that perspective. I think with that, we will maybe bring this to a close.
I know you wanted perhaps to stretch it longer, but then in the best interest of time, we have to do it. But very, very well done. Concise 20 minutes, and they have kept very, very interesting, pertinent points. A big round of applause for them, please, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, I'm going to be requesting Somnath Chatterjee from Team Cirrus to kindly come up on stage and give the token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers. Once again, a big round of applause for them, please. We'll first do a group photo of all of you over here. No photo bombing with the table, so yeah, that's how it is. And then I'll request Somnath to get in the frame and give the token of appreciations. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the final panel discussion. A little bit of clapping and appreciation, I'm sure, motivates the speakers a lot more. And you see the wonderful smile on their faces. It actually widens up when you kind of clap and appreciate, right? Thank you so much. Somnath, if you can please hand over the token of appreciation to all our speakers over here. And then we'll do a nice group photo with all of you together. Thank you. And Somnath, I'll now request you to join the frame as well for the group photograph. From 4, it now becomes 5. And ladies and gentlemen, if you can see, I will come, sir. 4 se 5, 5 se 6 bhi karenge. First, ye 5 wala ho jaye. Can I request all of you to clap, please, ladies and gentlemen? You see the magic the moment you clap. You see the smile. It only widens and widens. Now, maybe if I join, it widens a little more, right? Huh? How sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all of you for your time and presence. We truly value every bit of it. And on a positive note, we look forward to having all of you the next time as well when we do this. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we are pretty much about to sum things up, but the summary of the entire event cannot really take place without the special vote of thanks. To do the vote of thanks over here, may I please request Mr. Sid Mitra, COO Cirrus.ai, to come up on stage. A big round of applause for Mr. Sid, please, once again.
Check. As we bring the first edition of Realty Shift to close, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who joined us today. Thank you so very much. To our speakers and panelists, thank you for your insights, your candor, and the depth you brought to every discussion. To our guest, your engagement and curiosity are what give a forum like this its real purpose. I would also like to thank our partners, our moderators, and the teams working behind the scenes. Your effort ensures that ideas flow smoothly, perspectives come together, and discussions stay meaningful. A big round of thanks to Shobhon and team in making this happen. Great work, Shobhon. I can't thank you enough. At Cirrus.ai, our goal has always been to help the real estate ecosystem move with greater clarity, intelligence, and confidence. And today reinforces something important that is just the beginning of more things to come. The Realty Shift will return with more sessions, more voices, and more opportunities for the industry to think, learn, and shape the future together across various dimensions, across various cities. This is just the start. Thank you once again for being here. We hope you leave with ideas worth exploring, conversations worth continuing, and a clearer view of where the industry is heading towards. We look forward to seeing you again at the next Realty Shift event. And now please join us for dinner and other conversations. Thank you and good night.
Thank you so much, everyone. You've been a very, very fascinating audience. You have clapped for everybody. Can you all please clap for yourselves as well for being such a fabulous audience? Please enjoy networking and dinner. My name is Shubhojit Ghosh. Signing off. We'll see you the next time. Thank you so much.